Chapter 1876, Strange Man, Heavens, Thesero, this didn't kill anyone, rightio? That's horrible. Hurry up and tell us what happened. True. Xiaoxian's voice cut through the tension, commanding attention. Everyone quiet down. First, Madame Fan, dispatch servants to aid them. Yi wouldn't alarm us without cause. There must be a reason behind his actions. You too, recount everything from start to finish. Don't hold back. First, Madame Fan's thoughts whirled with apprehension. She swiftly instructed the maids to summon help, then turned her gaze to the two maidservants. The assembled group fell into a hushed silence, fixating on the maidservants with unwavering attention. The two maidservants hesitated momentarily before relaying their account. As we approached, we witnessed the mountain rocks cracking, followed by a massive landslide. 8 men lay unconscious, some partially buried in the soil. It was a distressing sight. All 8 appeared to be middle-aged, clad in ordinary attire, and unfamiliar to us. It's puzzling how they ended up there. A veil of suspicion shrouded the onlookers as they subtly scrutinized First Madame Fan. The proximity of the collapse to their scenic spot raised doubts about the stranger's presence. Were these truly unrelated individuals, as the maids claimed, or was there more to the story? Who could say if they were being truthful? Luckily, Madame Xiao's own servants had accompanied them. Otherwise, if those who went over were all from the Fan family, they might have kept it under wraps. But if these individuals were indeed invited by the Fan clan, what was their intent? What did the Fan clan have in mind? Regardless, the situation felt unsettling, and it likely involved the Fan clan. Unease rippled through the group, prompting a collective desire to depart promptly. As long as the Fan clan refrained from meddling, it was tolerable. Observing the unease among the attendees, First Madame Fan couldn't help but inwardly lament. She wasn't concerned about others' opinions, but she fretted over Xiaoxian's suspicions. Madame Xiao, this is truly peculiar. We wouldn't dare deceive you. The Fan family is as unaware as you and the other ladies. Please don't worry. I'll provide you with a thorough explanation. Xiaoxian regarded her solemnly. I trust you implicitly. There's no need for explanations. Those strangers are undoubtedly up to mischief. I'll instruct Yi to escort them back for interrogation by our lord. What say you, First Madame Fan? First Madame Fan felt a lump form in her throat. Instinctively, she wanted to protest, fearing any potential implications for the Fan family. However, Xiaoxian's rationale struck a chord, and more significantly, her esteemed status left little room for dissent. Madame Xiao is absolutely correct. Entrusting this matter to the authorities for investigation is the prudent course of action. Otherwise, none of us would find peace of mind. I must apologize profusely. I never anticipated that inviting Madame Xiao for a scenic outing would lead to these unforeseen circumstance. Xiaoxian's gentle smile reassured her. It was merely an unfortunate accident. Chapter 1877. Too strange, she cast a meaningful glance at the assembled group. Once this matter is resolved, the authorities will make an official announcement. Until then, no one should engage in speculation or spread rumors. Any adverse consequences resulting from such actions will be thoroughly investigated by the government. The madams nodded in stunned agreement, swiftly heeding her directive. First Madame Fan conveyed her gratitude to Xiaoxian with a grateful glance. With matters settled, there was little reason for Xiaoxian to linger. Those who asserted that her youth precluded divorce might miss her, necessitating her return to the city for another meeting at a later date. First Madame Fan didn't dare insist on her remaining. Instead, she smiled warmly and escorted Xiaoxian to the waiting carriage. Once Xiaoxian departed, the other ladies followed suit, vacating the scene. Before long, the area was deserted. With the aid of the Fan family servants, the 8 individuals were swiftly bound and placed into a carriage. Yi then led them away. Accompanied by First Madame Fan, Second Mrs. Fan, and Fan Ruyan, along with a contingent of servants, they inspected the site of the collapse. The 2 maidservants who had initially reported the incident spoke truthfully. A significant portion of the hill had indeed collapsed, leaving behind a mound of rubble and scattered vegetation. Yet, The collapse occurred on a hill abundant with soil and greenery. It seemed inexplicable that such a stable terrain would give way without cause. This is truly baffling. Fan Ruyan was tempted to seize the opportunity to disparage Xiao Xian, perhaps insinuating something along the lines of, "Her presence attracts misfortune," but she hesitated. Her current demeanor restrained her from such slanderous remarks. First, Madame Fan and her attendants deliberated to no avail, ultimately resigning themselves to the conclusion that it was an unforeseen accident. In the wagon, Xiao Xian grappled with confusion. Could she have been mistaken? During the maidservant's explanation, she had scrutinized Fan Ruyan's reaction closely. Yet, Fan Ruyan appeared genuinely surprised and perplexed, devoid of any guilt or unease. Something didn't add up. Xiao Xian couldn't fathom that someone as transparent as Fan Ruyan could conceal her emotions so adeptly. Perhaps Fan Ruyan hadn't even considered the possibility that the unfamiliar men were mountain bandits. Upon reflection, this seemed to be the only plausible explanation. Xiao Xian chuckled in disbelief, but soon, a sigh escaped her lips as she rubbed her temples. He had left the city with such determination, catching her husband off guard, only to return and likely face his reprimand. Considering her options, Xiao Xian couldn't devise a suitable strategy to evade his scolding, so she resigned herself to her fate. As expected, upon her carriage's arrival at the state government office's backyard, her husband stood there with an inscrutable expression, hands clasped behind his back, awaiting her. Xiao Xian's scalp tingled with nerves. Mustering a smile, she greeted him, "Husband, you've been waiting for me." His response only exacerbated her anxiety. Attempting to appear composed, she flashed a bright smile. "As you can see, I've returned safely. There was an incident at Bright Moon Villa, and I swiftly discerned that something was amiss, hence my prompt return home." Chapter 1878. His lesson. Xiao Yunduan's expression tightened as Xiao Xian spoke. "Really? Should I compliment you?" he asked, his tone laced with a hint of sarcasm. "No, no." Xiao Xian quickly shook her head, a flattering smile on her lips. "There's no need for that. I know I was wrong. I won't ever sneak out of the city again. This time, I just wanted to see what the Fan family will do, and I'll be cautious." "Cautious?" Xiao Yunduan's anger flared. "You know what kind of family the Fan family is. You know how arrogant and domineering Fan Ruyan and Old Lady Fan can be. How could you risk it? Even if you're cautious, you're stepping onto their territory. What good will that do? If something were to happen, even if she sensed danger, could she handle it? Help from afar wouldn't reach in time. The news would spread, and he wouldn't be able to rush to her aid." Just the thought made him shudder, a cold sweat breaking out. It would drive him insane. "Yes, you're here to Xiao Xian had never seen Xiao Yunduan lose his temper like this, realizing she shouldn't have provoked him, but she couldn't help herself. She tugged at Xiao Yunduan's sleeve, speaking softly, "I'm confident that with IE's capabilities, the Fan family won't dare touch me unless they want trouble with you, the prefect lord. At most, they'll try to address the situation openly, to acknowledge the elephant in the room. IE could whisk her away to safety in minutes." Xiao Xian attempted to explain and console Xiao Yunduan, and his expression softened slightly. Breathing a sigh of relief, Xiao Xian recognized the boundaries of her influence. She couldn't afford to joke about herself, not when her life experience was still unfolding. How could she have been so rash and thoughtless? But there was one truth she couldn't reveal: her extraordinary ability to control everything within the courtyard. Regardless of Fan Ruyan and the others' schemes, she was always aware. She wouldn't allow anyone to plot against them. If she backed down, wouldn't it embolden Fan Ruyan's arrogance? It would imply that she, as the prefect's wife, feared the Fan family, which would severely disadvantage Xiao Yunduan in his struggle against them. Awareness dawned on Xiao Xian. The stakes were high, and many keen observers were watching the power struggle between the prefect and the Fan family. The outcome would shape their stance and tactics toward the prefect's office. Xiao Xian refused to be a liability. The Fan family had brazenly invited confrontation, and she intended to deliver a resounding blow. Moreover, she was determined to drive them to the brink of madness. Xiao Yunduan sighed, gently grasping her hands. I understand you're trying to support me, my dear, but there's no need. I'm genuinely worried, I'm scared too. Xiao Xian interjected with a smile. I won't act independently anymore. Xiao Yunduan's expression softened. That's what I want to hear. Absolutely, Xiao Xian affirmed. I'll always consult with you. Xiao Yunduan paused, contemplating. He sensed there was still a lesson she needed to learn. Chapter 1879. The second day Xiao Xian was left speechless. I'm not pretending, she insisted. I just feel like resting a bit longer. Even in defeat, she refused to admit defeat. Despite his unreasonable behavior, she tried to see reason in it. Xiao Yunduan didn't argue, merely smiling. You slept from yesterday afternoon till now. Do you still want to rest? What? Xiao Xian's eyes widened. Was it already the next day? The brightness of the sun confirmed it. She realized her perception was skewed. Late autumn meant shorter days and longer nights. She had thought she slept for a significant period with the elder, but apparently not. Xiao Yunduan noticed her shock, his smile widening. Xiao Xian composed herself, refusing to give in. She couldn't let him think head won. So she blinked and replied calmly, I know, but I could still use a bit more rest. Wanting to say, I'm just tired and need more sleep, she changed her words, fearing it might stroke his ego too much. Xiao Yunduan chuckled softly, pinching her cheeks affectionately before enveloping her in his arms. His voice lowered, carrying a note of sternness. Promise me, no more recklessness. Do you understand the danger? Think of our son and me. He had placed too much trust in her, never imagining she'd act so boldly without consulting him first. The moment he heard the news, a chilling fear gripped him, his heart plunging like it had been struck by lightning. He dared not contemplate the consequences. Those mountain bandits lacked even the fourth prince's limited restraint. If she fell into their hands, the suffering she'd endure was unimaginable. He wouldn't blame her, but he couldn't sway public opinion. And what if he couldn't reach her in time? He swiftly dispatched guards and headed to Bright Moon Villa, determined to protect her without alarming her, though his heart seethed with silent reprimand. Although he chastised himself inwardly, Xiao Yunduan couldn't bring himself to forcefully stop her from leaving the city. So, he silently reproached himself. This woman dared to be so bold, and he bore some responsibility for it. Hearing his words, Xiao Xian felt a pang of guilt, her heart softening. She reached out, wrapping her arms around his waist, and nestled her head against his chest. I understand, my love. I promise, I won't put myself in harm's way. With Yi and Ben lay by my side, along with the guards, I can ensure my safety. I couldn't bear to put you and our son at risk. I want to support you, she continued earnestly. I don't trust Fan Rian's intentions, inviting us for a meal. I just want to see what she's plotting, what the Fan family is up to. Until these matters are resolved, we won't truly be safe. I know my limits. Xiao Yunduan's touch was gentle as he stroked her hair. All right, I'll trust you from now on. But promise me, you won't do something like this again, understood? He truly had no other choice. He couldn't confine her to their home and deny her freedom. Chapter 1880. Don't dare again in that case. It was better for him to be proactive and ensure her safety by sending someone to protect her. It was far preferable to her taking such risks on her own. Xiao Xian smiled, nodding. Yes, I understand, husband. I'll heed your advice. Bah! Xiao Yunduan scoffed, not entirely convinced by her words. He reached down, playfully pinching her soft waist, and whispered, If you dare to defy me again, I'll have you confined to bed for 3 days and nights. Xiao Xian blushed, suddenly feeling self-conscious. She pushed him away, retreating under the blanket, and pouted coyly. Just go already. Independent Illinois, get up. Xiao Yunduan grinned. Are you sure? Shall I help you change first, or should I take a bath? Wife, do you want Li Xia and Li Qiu to see those marks on your body? Xiao Xian's face flushed hotter, her body turning limp. She couldn't bring herself to meet his gaze but still managed to pout. It's all your fault, Euro. From yesterday afternoon until now, she felt utterly embarrassed as the lady of the household. This man was shameless. Wasn't he worried about being slandered behind his back? Of course not. He was the master here. Who would dare speak ill of him? Old masters seemed to have an answer for everything, or so he thought. But Xiao Xian shook her head inwardly. Xiao Yunduan smiled proudly, unfazed by any hint of shame. I'll have someone prepare a bath for me first, all right? Xiao Xian, eager for the soothing warmth of a bath, readily agreed. With her husband's persistent teasing, their bath stretched into a 4-hour affair, nearly reaching dusk. Emerging from the bath, Xiao Xian felt rejuvenated, as if a new chapter in her life had begun. Meanwhile, the Fan family, including the 2 Madame Fans and Fan Rian, returned to the city shortly after. Although today's gathering lacked the perfection of previous banquets, Madame Xiao had clearly signaled her willingness to reconcile with the Fan family. The first Madame Fan felt she had achieved her goal and harbored no regrets. But Fan Rian couldn't shake her disappointment. Unexpectedly, amidst the festivities, a mishap occurred. Madame Xiao departed early and returned to the city unharmed. How unfortunate! Fan Rian lamented, still unaware of the connection between the unconscious men and the bandits. She only regretted the missed opportunity. Why hadn't the bandits struck earlier? If only they had arrived earlier to snatch Xiao Xian away. Fan Rian never anticipated a knife at her throat in the dead of night. Don't move! From the mountain. The voice belonged to one of the mountain bandits. Fan Rian breathed a sigh of relief, assuming him to be an ally. Why are you only here now? You said you'd snatch someone from Bright Moon Villa during the day. Xiao Xian went there today, but you didn't show Euro? Shut up. The knife pressed harder against her neck. Are you playing dumb, you wretch? The searing pain made Fan Rian tremble. She dared not move, her voice quivering. What do you mean Euro? Are you asking me? The man's teeth clenched, his curses venomous. 8 of our men went, none returned. Heard they were nabbed by the authorities. Did you rat us out, you filthy traitor? Chapter 1881. Interrogation. In the middle of the night. Enraged, the mountain bandit stowed his knife and delivered a harsh slap to Fan Rian's face. His hand was rough, calloused, and scarred. In his fury he showed no mercy. The force of the blow sent half of Fan Rian's face recoiling, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, her head throbbing. Suppressing a scream, she clenched her teeth, groaning as if her molars had loosened. Clutching the blanket tightly, she struggled to sit up, her voice trembling. What did you say? Her expression shifted drastically. Could it be them? What are you talking about? The man demanded. Speak. Fan Rian's vision blurred, nearly fainting. Fear mingled with fury. How foolish. Why hadn't she realized sooner? Who else but those mysterious men near Bright Moon Villa? Why hadn't she made the connection earlier? With trembling lips, she recounted the entire encounter to the bandit. Euro, foolish woman. The man's rage surged. He slapped her once more, his teeth clenched. Traitor! Those were our comrades. You watched them get taken by the authorities. The man seemed to favor alternating his slaps, landing one on each side of Fan Rian's face. Fan Rian had always been caustic and diligent about her skincare. Her skin, fair and delicate as tofu, couldn't bear the force of the blows. Her face reddened and swelled instantly, streaked with red, purple, and blood, a ghastly sight. Tears streamed down her face, the pain nearly rendering her unconscious. She covered her battered face, voice trembling with tears. I didn't know Euro, it's too coincidental. But, Boot Euro. The man glared at her, his expression darkening as he sneered. Crafty woman, do you take me for a fool? Such coincidences don't exist. I know the terrain near Bright Moon Villa well. Rocks don't collapse without reason, and it's implausible for all 8 to be knocked out simultaneously. Do you really expect me to believe this? The 8 men who descended the mountain were seasoned elites. The one leading the raid was the 3rd in command of the Tiger Head tribe and 2nd in command of the Liuha fort. He was the 4th in command of the Min family tribe and led 12 others to meet them 5 kilometers away. Capturing the wife of an official's dog required utmost vigilance. They were well acquainted with the terrain, confident that the official couldn't thwart them. But this accident blindsided them. A blasted accident. Even if rocks fell, their skills would prevent everyone from passing out. This treacherous woman must be lying. Have you been colluding with the government? Did you orchestrate today's events to ensnare us? How dare you plot against me, you wretch? No. I swear, I'm innocent. Fan Ruyan's heart raced with fear. I'd never betray you. If I did, would I allow myself to be captured? The officials won't spare our Fan family. Surrendering to them is out of the question. Their demise is our only hope. Your Majesty, you must believe me. The man glared at her with venom. Deep down, he believed her. He cared little for the feud between the Fan clan and officials, but he trusted that Fan Ruyan, foolish as she was, lacked the courage to betray them. Chapter 1882. It's hard to get off a thief's ship unless the Fan family wanted to abandon Anne's province altogether. The man growled, "Stop your excuses. I won't trust a word you say. Figure out how to lure that dog official's wife out. If you fail, he'll obliterate you. And your precious Fan family along with you. Don't think you're clever. If you dare double-cross me for a dog official, unless your family hides within the prefect's office and never steps outside, oh, no, I swear. Words mean nothing. I want action. Get up and write something." Fan Ruyan hesitated. Written evidence could easily fall into the wrong hands, becoming a vulnerability. But with a knife at her throat, she had little choice. Once aboard the pirate ship, it wasn't easy to disembark unscathed. The loyal worldly folks she thought she knew were ruthless bandits willing to wield their blades against innocents without a second thought. Fan Ruyan dared not refuse, muttering her grievances silently. With trembling hands, she penned the incriminating evidence and pressed her fingerprint. Illiterate as he was, the bandit trusted Fan Ruyan's sincerity. If she dared deceive him, her Fan family would face dire consequences. Satisfied, the bandit nonchalantly pocketed the document. He glared at Fan Ruyan, sneering, "Listen up, you wretch. You have 3 days to lure that dog official's wife out of the city, by any means necessary. Fail and you'll face my wrath." "Euro what?" Euro. As the bandit swaggered off into the night, Fan Ruyan collapsed to the ground, her limbs weak, hugging herself as tears flowed. Fear, anger, shock, and regret overwhelmed her, mingled with panic and despair seeping through her entire being. Exhausted from crying, she remained huddled against the bed, her mind blank. What was she to do now? Those mountain bandits were a force to be reckoned with, terrifying and ruthless. Fan Ruyan's resentment towards Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan festered. If not for them, she wouldn't be in this mess. They were the ones who coerced her into seeking out the mountain bandits. Yes, it was all their fault to Euro. If she was suffering, she wouldn't let them off the hook either. But Xiao Xian, how could she lure her out of the city? What was her plan? First Madame Fan's eyes widened incredulously. What did you say? You want to invite Madame Xiao to Qingsong Monastery to offer incense the day after tomorrow? Explain yourself. First Madame Fan couldn't fathom her sister-in-law's intentions. Was she defying Madame Xiao? Since Madame Xiao had pardoned their family, why stir up trouble? She was already apprehensive. Every time she invited Madame Xiao, something went awry. She dared not do it anymore. But her sister-in-law seemed undeterred. Fan Ruyan masked her embarrassment with a smile. Sister-in-law, I still feel uneasy. Madame Xiao might say she doesn't hold grudges, but who knows if she's just being polite. After all, we invited her to Bright Moon Villa for a scenic view and a banquet, but she left without eating lunch. Euro. If she harbors resentment, wouldn't that be Euro? Chapter 1883. Treating again. So, I initially thought the 15th was 2 days from now. Qingsong Monastery is renowned for its vegetarian fare, so perhaps it's best to keep the guest list to just Madame Xiao. Mrs. Jia mentioned she's tied up at home, or else we could have extended an invitation to her as well. With a small gathering, we can enjoy the best of both worlds. Initially, Madame Fan hesitated against Fan Ruyan's persuasion. After pondering for a moment, she found no harm in expanding her social circle. This was how acquaintances turned into friendships. Euro. Will Madame Xiao agree to come? Euro. To be frank, if she were in Madame Xiao's shoes, she wouldn't have accepted her own family's invitation. She will agree. Anything less and she'd be unhappy. That simply wouldn't do. Seeing her sister-in-law's puzzled expression, Fan Ruyin realized she was rushing things. She forced a smile. Sister-in-law, you're the matriarch of the Fan family. If Madame Xiao wishes to be a supportive spouse to Lord Xiao, she'll undoubtedly seek favor with the Fan family and honor your invitation. If you reach out to her first, she may even be eager. First Madame Fan found this reassuring. After contemplating for a moment, she smiled and said, "Indeed, fostering a good relationship with the prefect's wife would benefit our family. Very well, I shall extend the invitation tomorrow." Absolutely. Fan Ruyin hastily agreed with a smile. But if you're planning to invite her, why wait until tomorrow? It's still early today. Why don't we go now? I'll give Madame Xiao ample time to prepare. First Madame Fan furrowed her brow and acquiesced. Very well. Initially hesitant to comply, she found herself swayed by the urgency. Yet, upon reflection, she wondered if this sudden eagerness from her sister-in-law was instigated by her mother-in-law. Why else would she be so keen on inviting Madame Xiao when she had previously opposed the idea? It must be her mother-in-law's influence. With a smile, First Madame Fan remarked, "But on the day of the ceremony, you must engage with Madame Xiao warmly and actively. We cannot afford to repeat yesterday's mistakes. If we've extended an invitation to Madame Xiao, it's imperative that we alter her perception of us entirely. Do you agree?" "Certainly, sister-in-law. I'll proceed with caution." Fan Ruyin nodded, her mind focused solely on securing Xiao Xian's presence. As for the future? Well, she would deal with that when the time came. First Madame Fan couldn't help but feel a surge of pride at her words. Such foresight was a rarity. At that moment, without further delay, arrangements were set in motion. Gifts were prepared, and they set off, dressed impeccably, to the state government office's courtyard to extend their invitation. Xiao Xian accepted with a smile. First Madame Fan departed, content with the outcome. Lixia and Liqiu exchanged worried glances. "Madam, I can't shake off this feeling that something's off about the Fan family lately." "Absolutely. Who keeps hosting endless meals like this? It's rather suspicious." "Madam, perhaps it's best if you skip the incense ceremony. I can't shake the feeling that the Fan family is up to no good. A sacred place like the temple is ripe for manipulation. It just doesn't sit right with me." Xiao Xian cast them a glance and chuckled. "You two are quite observant, aren't you? Your vigilance has certainly improved." Lixia and Liqiu exchanged a smile. "After all these years by Madame's side, we must have picked up a thing or two, no matter how slow we were to start." Chapter 1884. I just want to see what they want. The trio enjoyed their conversation, sharing laughs. Lixia and Liqiu hinted at the possibility of declining the Fan family's invitation. "No need to decide just yet, I'll ponder it," Xiao Xian replied. Though she initially intended to attend, she decided to consult her husband before finalizing her decision to avoid any potential conflicts. After all, he had a tendency to become irritable. Lixia and Liqiu trusted their mistress to make the right choice and nodded with smiles. Just then, the nanny, Kaiyue, arrived with the young master, who had just woken up. Laughter filled the room as they all played together. Xiao Yunduan returned in the evening, and the couple shared a meal. Sensing her husband's upbeat mood lately, Xiao Xian seized the opportunity to broach the topic of the invitation from First Madame Fan. Nestling against his arm, she spoke sweetly. "Darling, what do you think about visiting Qingsong Monastery? I've heard their vegetarian cuisine is exceptional, especially the pine mushrooms and bamboo shoots harvested from the mountain's forest. They're said to be exquisite." Xiao Yunduan's silence spoke volumes. No wonder Xiao Xian had sensed something amiss the entire night. There was indeed cause for concern. "You wish to attend?" "Yes," Xiao Xian affirmed. "I suspect the Fan family has ulterior motives." Before Xiao Yunduan could respond, she continued, "But I merely wish to discern their intentions." Xiao Yunduan's expression turned grim as he sneered. "Merely attending the banquet at Bright Moon Villa yesterday led to a run-in with mountain bandits. I could dispatch officers to apprehend the Fan family on mere suspicion. Yesterday, Yi had brought back 8 captives, and after thorough interrogation by Xiao Yunduan, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Zheng Sang, it was revealed that 2 among them were leaders, while the rest were significant accomplices. This revelation sent shivers down everyone's spines once more. Zheng Sang and his team were seasoned and resolute in their belief that the mountain bandits were undoubtedly linked to the Fan family, despite their denial. In this world, coincidences were a rarity. It just so happened that Madame attended the banquet at Bright Moon Villa. It just so happened that the bandits appeared near the villa simultaneously, each one a skilled operative. It required no stretch of the imagination to conclude that they were targeting Madame, intending to abduct her, perhaps to negotiate for the release of their captured leaders. However, fate had a different plan. Before they could execute their scheme, they encountered an unexpected setback. Truly, the saying held true, the heavens have eyes. Clarifying the truth behind the matter proved to be a straightforward task. Under interrogation, it was unlikely that these individuals could endure punishment without breaking. Once a confession was obtained, they could proceed to apprehend the Fan family. With the Fan family in custody, no stone would be left unturned in the interrogation process. However, Xiao Yunduan hesitated to entangle himself with the Fan family at this juncture. The paramount concern remained the 3 villages. With the commencement of hostilities, the conflict between the 2 factions had officially commenced. Their objective was to eradicate the opposition entirely in one decisive strike. In comparison to the Fan clan, these individuals posed a greater threat. They operated outside the bounds of morality, disregarding the law and acting without scruples. One misstep could lead to irreversible tragedy. Therefore, upon uncovering their identities, Xiao Yunduan opted to steer clear of involvement with the Fan family. Chapter 1885. Xiao Yunduan's helplessness, the audacity of the Fan family to extend an invitation for the incense ceremony? They must be exceedingly brazen. Xiao Yunduan's frustration simmered. Even after their collusion was exposed and the mountain bandits apprehended, they still had the gall to deceive his wife into accepting their invitation. Their lack of scruples was staggering. Did they truly believe he and his wife to be so naive? Qiao Xian countered with a smile, "Darling, I believe you may have misinterpreted the situation. While I cannot speak to the Fan family's involvement with the 3 villages, it's plausible that they may not be fully aware of recent events. My suspicion lies with Fan Ruyan. During our encounter at Bright Moon Villa, I subtly inquired about Qingsong Monastery. It was all orchestrated by Fan Ruyan. First Madame Fan even vouched for her sister-in-law, claiming genuine remorse and a desire to apologize to me. It appears even she was misled by Fan Ruyan's facade. Considering Fan Ruyan's apparent ease in contacting the mountain bandits, it's evident the Fan clan maintains close ties with them. Since you've extended the invitation, I shall attend." Xiao Yunduan gazed at her with a mixture of resignation and admiration. After a moment's contemplation, he relented with a sigh and nodded. "I'll make the necessary arrangements. You may attend, but exercise caution. Stick to well-traveled areas and avoid remote locations like the back mountain." Qiao Xian readily concurred, offering a smile. "Indeed, I'll confine myself to the intermediate grounds of the monastery. The continued pursuit by those bandits indicates their disdain for both my husband and the authorities. Once within the monastery's bounds, they might feel emboldened, considering themselves masters of their surroundings. They're unlikely to venture into secluded areas like the back of the mountain." Xiao Yunduan's expression contorted into a disdainful sneer. "I won't tolerate any threats to your safety." The very idea of someone daring to lay claim to his wife was preposterous. On the designated day, Qiao Xian, accompanied by Mian Mian, embarked in a carriage driven by the coachman, with Yi trailing closely behind. Alongside them were the Fan sisters-in-law. Qiao Xian noted the absence of Bo Ruwei, Fan Ruyan's daughter, and the presence of Mrs. Fan's 2 daughters. She couldn't help but inwardly scoff at Fan Ruyan's evident favoritism toward her own offspring. As they departed the city, the journey to Qingsong Monastery lasted less than an hour. Situated in An's province, the renowned ancient temple was nestled amidst pine trees, exuding an atmosphere of tranquility and simplicity. A winding path led up the mountain, guiding the carriage towards the main monastery, a journey of less than 20 minutes. Throughout the trip, first Madame Fan and second Mrs. Fan entertained Xiaoxian with captivating tales and historical anecdotes about Qingsong Monastery, painting a vivid picture of its scenic beauty and cultural significance. Their unhurried pace allowed for frequent stops, and after over an hour of travel, they finally arrived at the intermediate monastery. Upon their arrival, the prefect's wife, alongside the Fan family's matriarch and their young ladies, were accorded the utmost respect by the monastery's staff. Led by a senior monk responsible for guest reception, a group of over 10 monks warmly greeted them at the mountain gate, escorting them with courtesy to the meditation room designated for esteemed visitors. The elder accompanied the guests for a brief period, during which Xiaoxian graciously assured them the freedom to pursue their own interests without disturbance. Recognizing her considerate gesture, the elder expressed heartfelt gratitude and admiration before taking his leave. After a short break and cleansing of hands, Xiaoxian, accompanied by First Madame Fan, made their way to the main hall to procure incense offerings. With infectious enthusiasm, First Madame Fan extended invitations to explore the monastery's various attractions, sparking Xiaoxian's curiosity and prompting her to join in the adventures eagerly. Chapter 1886. Buddha and Bodhisattva are all watching. Fan Rian struggled to maintain her composure, her heart in turmoil. Despite 2 days passing, the memory of the stinging slaps still haunted her. She had to plaster on layers of makeup to conceal the bruises on her face, and the lingering pain served as a constant reminder of her mission. But they couldn't afford to overlook Xiaoxian. Were those individuals still around? How could they apprehend Xiaoxian? The uncertainty gnawed at her, every moment agonizing. Unable to bear it any longer, Fan Rian resolved to take action. After some contemplation, she devised a plan. First, she persuaded second sister-in-law to return to the rest area under the pretense of fetching tea leaves and tea sets. Then, she ventured to the renowned bonsai garden within the intermediate section of Qingsong Monastery to make preparations. Subsequently, she invited Madame Xiao to join her in making tea. Second Mrs. Fan found the idea agreeable and promptly departed. In a stroke of luck, Fan Rian, accidentally, collided with First Madame Fan once more. Although she narrowly avoided hitting a pillar, her hair was left askew from the impact. Maintaining the image of a dignified mistress of the household was paramount, and having her hair askew was undignified. First Madame Fan felt a flush of embarrassment as she apologized to Xiaoxian and promptly excused herself to tidy her hair. With the departure of the two Mrs. Fan, before Fan Rian could speak, Xiaoxian cast a glance at the Fan family's young ladies and kindly reassured them, "Go and enjoy yourselves, don't worry." The young misses of the Fan family, already eager to explore, breathed a collective sigh of relief and quickly departed with their maidservants. Now, only Xiaoxian, Mian, Fan Rian, and her maids remained. Xiaoxian flashed a smile at Fan Rian. Under Xiaoxian's gaze, Fan Rian felt a twinge of panic. She couldn't shake the feeling that Xiaoxian had sensed something, but upon reflection, she dismissed it as paranoia. Surely, if Xiaoxian truly suspected her, she wouldn't have agreed to come to Qingsong Monastery in the first place. Suppressing her unease, Fan Rian smiled and invited Xiaoxian to continue their activities. Xiaoxian happily agreed. Led by Fan Rian, Xiaoxian followed to a secluded spot. Fan Rian couldn't contain her excitement. She discreetly scanned the surroundings, wondering where the bandits might be lurking and when they would emerge to seize Xiaoxian. Lost in her thoughts, Fan Rian inadvertently stepped on the corner of her skirt, nearly tumbling. Fortunately, Ping Lan reacted swiftly, rushing to her aid and preventing a fall. Fan Rian let out a startled cry, her complexion draining of color as she pressed a hand to her chest to steady her racing heart. Observing her distress, Xiaoxian offered a sympathetic gaze and inquired with genuine concern, "You seem preoccupied and uneasy ever since we arrived at Qingsong Monastery. Is something troubling you?" Fan Rian's heart, which had just begun to settle, leaped once more in terror. "Oh no. You must be mistaken, Euro. I'm glad to hear that," Xiaoxian replied with a warm smile. "Remember, this is a temple, and the Buddha and Bodhisattva are watching over us. If you encounter any difficulties, sincerely seek their guidance and assistance. Fan Ruyan's expression darkened further. Ah, thank you for the reminder, Madame Xiaoyuro. Despite her tumultuous thoughts, Fan Ruyan understood her own intentions. She knew that the blessings of the Buddha and Bodhisattva were unlikely to be bestowed upon her endeavors. Chapter 1887. Teasing her, she couldn't even risk the Buddha and Bodhisattva discovering her intentions. Perhaps Madame Xiao was deliberately taunting her. Fortunately, Xiao Xian shifted the conversation with a smile, steering away from the topic. Instead, she turned to Fan Ruyan with genuine interest. Is there a spot within 500 meters of Qingsong Monastery that's serene, captivating, and offers splendid scenery? Mian Mian, privy to certain details, couldn't help but glance at her wife, suppressing a smirk. Fan Ruyan felt a surge of frustration. She inwardly cursed the incompetence of the bandits. Despite leading them to such a secluded spot, why hadn't they acted yet? Nevertheless, she maintained a composed smile and replied, "For tranquility and picturesque views, nothing surpasses the back mountain. It boasts lush pines, verdant bamboos, cascading waterfalls, natural springs, mountain blooms, and peculiar rock formations. It's truly breathtaking. Since we're here, it's only fitting to explore the back mountain. Would you care to accompany me?" Fan Ruyan's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Yes, they might be lying in wait at the back of the mountain. Considering the monastery's numerous visitors, the back mountain offered the most seclusion, making it an ideal location for capturing targets. Xiao Xian smiled. Shall we venture alone? Shouldn't we wait for first Madame Fan and second Mrs. Fan? Fan Ruyan desperately wished for the bandits to seize Xiao Xian soon, so she saw no reason to wait. With a smile, she suggested, "We can proceed without my sister-in-laws, Madame Xiao. My company should suffice." "Oh Hayuro, please Madame Xiao." Xiao Xian glanced at her and replied casually, "Actually, my husband advised against visiting the back mountain before I came here. He mentioned that the back mountain isn't safe, and it could lead to trouble if anything were to happen. While the surroundings are serene, they're also quite isolated." Fan Ruyan felt a pang of frustration. What kind of words were those? However, Xiao Xian's refusal only fueled Fan Ruyan's conviction that the mountain bandits were indeed lurking there. "Your husband is overly cautious. This is Qingsong Monastery, a renowned ancient temple in An's province. The back mountain is routinely tended to by the monastery's masters. How could there be any danger? With the lush greenery and picturesque landscapes this time of year, it would be a shame not to explore them. Madame Xiao, won't you reconsider?" Fan Ruyan pleaded. "I understand, Xiao Xian feigned contemplation. Seeing an opportunity, Fan Ruyan persisted, doing her utmost to coax Xiao Xian into accompanying her to the back mountain, even resorting to flattery. Amused by Fan Ruyan's evident anxiety, Xiao Xian found the situation rather amusing. Although she secretly desired to visit the back mountain, she knew she would be the one handling any potential threats. There was no chance of others overpowering her. However, she dreaded her husband's wrath. She couldn't afford to provoke him when he was in a fiery mood. Regrettably, she had no choice but to relent. "Well, let's forget it." Xiao Xian sighed with disappointment, offering a wry smile to Fan Ruyan. "My husband is quite temperamental, and he doesn't heed my advice. He'll be furious, and he'll have to face his retribution later. I dare not risk it. After all, in marriage, we should defer to our husband's wishes, shouldn't we? Since my husband has forbidden it, we must abide by his decision." Fan Ruyan, Suddenly, Xiao Xian flashed a smile. "But Mrs. Bai, you're so considerate. I feel embarrassed to decline your invitation." Chapter 1888. Fan Ruyan almost couldn't help it. Fan Ruyan's eyes sparkled with renewed hope. "Lord Xiao won't have to know if we simply take a leisurely stroll and admire the scenery. You won't regret it." "Absolutely," Xiao Xian replied with a slight smile. "My husband is quite stringent, and I can't keep anything from him. But next time, I'll seek his permission beforehand so that I can join you for incense offerings, Mrs. Bai. Please remember to extend the invitation when you return." Fan Ruyan struggled to contain her frustration. She almost believed Xiao Xian was mocking her. Very well, I'll be sure to invite you next to Muro, Fan Ruyan forced out through clenched teeth. Wonderful. Xiao Xian beamed. I didn't expect you to be so hospitable. I must have misjudged you, Mrs. Bai. Fan Ruyan's smile tightened further. She had a sinking feeling that Xiao Xian was deliberately taunting Hera Yuro. Shortly after, First Madame Fan returned with her hair neatly arranged. With no opportunity to object, Fan Ruyan remained silent. Xiao Xian and First Madame Fan chatted amiably as they proceeded to the bonsai garden for tea and exploration. Later, they enjoyed a vegetarian lunch together. The vegetarian dishes at Qingsong Monastery were indeed exquisite. Each dish, from the savory mushrooms and wild fungi to the delectable dried bamboo shoots and stir-fried snow vegetables, was prepared with utmost care. The monks, eager to impress the prefect's wife, showcased their culinary expertise by meticulously crafting each dish with fresh, high-quality ingredients sourced from the nearby mountain. Xiao Xian couldn't help but commend the chefs for their remarkable skills and the exceptional freshness of the ingredients. After the satisfying vegetarian feast, the group made their way back to their residence. Throughout the journey back to the city, Fan Ruyan found herself consumed by despair. With each passing moment, her heart sank deeper. As the carriage drew nearer to An's prefecture city, any remaining glimmer of hope within Fan Ruyan faded away entirely. Impossibly Euro, what had gone wrong? Had the bandits not made their move at Qingsong Monastery at all? Why was there no sign of their presence? As they bid farewell, Xiao Xian cast a smile towards her sister-in-law and expressed her gratitude. Thank you for your hospitality, Mrs. Fan. First Madame Fan and second Mrs. Fan were also visibly pleased, responding humbly with smiles. Meanwhile, Fan Ruyan struggled to force a smile, her expression more akin to a grimace than a grin. Upon returning to the state office, Xiao Xian was met by Xiao Yunduan, who awaited her outside the gates. Their eyes met, and smiles graced their faces. Xiao Yunduan swept her off the wagon, refusing to release her as he enveloped her in his embrace. With a smile, he inquired, "How was your outing? Did you enjoy yourself?" "Absolutely," Xiao Xian affirmed, returning his smile before teasing, "And what about you? Did you accomplish anything?" Xiao Yunduan chuckled. "Certainly. Indeed, he had accomplished quite a bit. Sun Bai and Sun Qian had personally led a team to conduct a thorough search, while Zheng Sang had positioned his men to keep a watchful eye on the periphery, ensuring no one slipped through the cracks. As a result, they had apprehended 13 individuals. Interestingly, upon questioning, it was discovered that there were precisely 13 individuals who had ventured to Qingsong Monastery. All 13 were now securely held in custody. For now, Xiao Yunduan's focus remained on his wife. With her safe return, his worries dissipated entirely. Chapter 1889. First-class reward. They continued their conversation as they entered the room, and Xiao Xian's spirits were lifted by the news. With a smile, she remarked, "Excellent. We can apprehend as many of those troublemakers as we please, and they're likely to be quite significant individuals." Returning her smile, Xiao Yunduan expressed his gratitude, saying, "Thank you for your assistance today, my dear wife." Xiao Xian playfully quipped, "Will there be a grand reward for the best assistant?" "Indeed, a first-class reward," Xiao Yunduan affirmed with a grin. Intrigued, Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she asked, "Really? What might that be?" Xiao Yunduan's smile deepened as he pulled her close, whispering into her ear, "Isn't the greatest reward to offer you the title of Lady of the Prefecture?" "Yuro." Xiao Xian burst into laughter, giving him a playful pinch. "Can I eat or sell this Lord of the Prefecture? What value does it hold?" Xiao Yunduan chuckled, replying, "It's for consumption, not trade." Xiao Xian's excitement grew. "Yuro, I refuse to converse with you further." Playfully pushing him away, she declared, "I'm off to see Anan." The audacity of that man was truly astounding, becoming increasingly shameless by the day. Fan Ruyan couldn't bear it any longer. She decided it was time to see her son, whom she had missed dearly throughout the day. Xiao Yunduan followed her, accompanying her to their son's side. Their little boy had grown remarkably since birth, his chubby cheeks flushed, and his bright eyes twinkling with joy upon seeing his parents. He kicked his tiny feet enthusiastically, waved his delicate hands, and babbled happily. His innocence and charm were utterly irresistible. In comparison to dealing with a certain man, her son was undoubtedly a much more delightful companion. As Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan enjoyed their time together, Fan Ruyan's anxiety only grew, her thoughts consumed by the situation at the Fan family. Feeling a sense of unease creeping over her, she glanced up to see the sky darkening. Her expression shifted, and she abruptly rose from her seat, intending to visit Old Lady Fan's courtyard. That night, she couldn't bear the thought of sleeping alone. She yearned for the company of her mother and decided to seek solace in her presence. However, after taking only a few steps, she halted abruptly. Fan Ruyan realized that seeking refuge with her mother was merely a temporary solution, not a permanent one. Even if she managed to escape for one night, it wouldn't solve the underlying problem. It was impractical to rely on her mother's company every single night. Moreover, aggravating the situation further would only lead to more harm than good. Her frustration boiled over, and she slammed her palm down on the table in frustration. Anger and resentment surged within her, fueled by a sense of helplessness. Madame Xiao's refusal to venture to the back of the mountain only intensified Fan Ruyan's feelings of injustice. If only she had insisted on bringing her there, perhaps the outcome would have been different. However, dwelling on what could have been was futile now. Throughout the night, Fan Ruyan was plagued by anxiety. She couldn't bring herself to close her eyes, fearing any sign of movement outside might signal danger. Every rustle made her heart race with apprehension, only to find it was a false alarm. Eventually, exhaustion overcame her, and she drifted into a fitful sleep, her troubled mind finally finding some respite. Fan Ruyan's night was plagued by restlessness. Every little noise made her alert, preventing her from getting any decent sleep. Just as she felt herself drifting off, she would jolt awake, her senses on high alert. Upon waking up, she felt a surge of nervousness, expecting something to have happened during the night. Yet, to her surprise, everything seemed normal. As the dawn broke, Fan Ruyan couldn't help but feel incredulous. Had the night truly passed without incident? It felt surreal, like a dream. However, amidst her relief, a deeper sense of anxiety gnawed at her. She couldn't shake the feeling that the mountain bandits wouldn't simply let her off the hook. Just because nothing happened last night didn't mean she was in the clear. The looming threat remained, tormenting her with the knowledge that as long as she refused to comply, the danger would persist. Chapter 1890. The soft pick in the state office. Xiao Yunduan and Sun Bai had conducted separate interrogations the previous night, ensuring that everyone's identities were clarified. Their efforts yielded significant results. They had captured another leader, along with 10 other brave and skilled individuals. The apprehension of such key figures would undoubtedly weaken the enemy's strength, alleviating pressure during future confrontations. Excitement and jubilation filled the air as the team praised Xiao Xian's seemingly fortuitous influence. Comments like, "Madam is truly a lucky charm," and "her blessing is undeniable," coupled with Lord's favor, echoed throughout the room. Xiao Yunduan, however, tempered the mood with a reminder of the risks involved. He cautioned against inflating Xiao Xian's ego, emphasizing the need for caution in future endeavors. Acknowledging the persistent provocations from the bandits, Xiao Yunduan declared it was time for a proactive response. Addressing Constable Zheng and Constable Hang, he instructed them to prepare for an assault on Tiger Head Tribe. Their strategy was clear: systematically eliminate weaker targets and gradually tighten the noose around the enemy, ensuring their eventual defeat. Among the 3 strongholds, Tiger Head Tribe had suffered the greatest losses. With one of their leaders deceased and another captured and imprisoned, they stood as prime targets for further capture. Acknowledging the gravity of the situation, everyone present responded with solemn nods and gestures of agreement. Zheng Sang and Hang Xingshan swiftly descended to strategize, while the rest of the team assumed their designated roles and made necessary preparations. Hang Xingshan, a seasoned constable with 6 years of service in the An's province government office, harbored a deep-seated disdain for the mountain bandits, much like his colleague Jia Heming. However, unlike Jia Heming's more passive outlook, Hang Xingshan remained steadfast in his belief that the imperial court would inevitably intervene in An's province affairs. He had spent years covertly gathering intelligence on the three strongholds, anticipating a day like this. And now, with Lord Xiao's leadership, his long-awaited opportunity had finally arrived. Though it deviated from his initial hope for direct imperial intervention, Hang Xingshan remained resolute in his commitment to eliminating the bandits, regardless of the means. Hang Xingshan felt a surge of gratitude towards Lord Xiao for recognizing his efforts and promoting him. He pledged to remain loyal and dedicated, willing to sacrifice everything for someone who had acknowledged his contributions. Without Lord Xiao's support, Hang Xingshan believed he would have remained unnoticed among the ranks. He vowed to stand by Lord Xiao's side for the remainder of his days, faithfully following wherever he led. The swift action against the three villages was not solely driven by Xiao Yunduan's confidence in his abilities. Hang Xingshan's meticulous collection of valuable information played a crucial role in empowering Lord Xiao's decision-making. This fusion of trust and knowledge bolstered their resolve to confront the enemy head-on. In the middle of the night, Fan Rian finally heard the sound of boots landing. In a daze, she suddenly felt a little strange, as if someone was approaching. She opened her eyes and saw someone standing in front of her bed, staring at her coldly. She covered her mouth and almost fainted from fright. Who are you? It was two people. She didn't know any of them. The two of them did not look good. Their cold gazes wished they could cut her into pieces. What happened in Qingsong Monastery? Tell me everything honestly and clearly. Don't miss a single detail. Tell me quickly. Chapter 1891. Interrogation. The attendees that evening comprised the leader of the Tiger Head tribe and the second-in-command of the Min family tribe. 2 days prior, Min Si had returned, adamant about bringing his original followers to abduct Madame Xiao. Despite efforts to dissuade him, his pride prevailed, and his companions could only acquiesce. Confident in his vigilance, Min Si believed he could evade any trouble unscathed. However, to his surprise, none of them returned the following day, nor did anyone return the day after. The sudden turn of events left everyone incredulous. Suspicions turned toward the local official, whom they accused of foul play. Frustration boiled over as curses filled the mountain air, and in their rage, furniture was shattered. Was their visit tonight directed towards Fan Rian? Fan Rian hastily explained, "I've taken her to Qingsong Monastery as instructed, but no one showed up. Don't blame me. I've fulfilled my part." "Enough!" snapped the Tiger Head tribe leader impatiently. "Tell us precisely what transpired at Qingsong Monastery that day. Leave nothing out." Fan Rian found herself compelled to suppress her grievances and recount every detail of the previous day's events. As she spoke, the furrows in the brows of her audience deepened, their expressions morphing into clear displeasure and disdain. Despite their impatience and occasional snide remarks, Yi Jian endured and listened attentively. However, as Fan Rian persisted in her rambling narrative about the happenings at Qingsong Monastery, the leader of the Tiger Head tribe erupted, slamming his fist onto the table. "Enough with the trivialities. Speak something of substance, woman." Startled, Fan Rian faltered. She couldn't discern her mistake. Yet, she dared not retaliate in anger. Instead, she swallowed her frustration and pressed on, filled with regret and trepidation, realizing the grave consequences of her actions. As her tale concluded amidst continued curses, Fan Rian pondered the formidable entity she had unwittingly provoked. The dissatisfaction between the two of them only intensified. "That's all you have to say? I am sorry, that's useless." The Tiger Head tribe leader's reprimand was sharp. "Are you as dumb as a rock? Our people are missing, and you didn't think to investigate? Damn it. How did the officials find out? Did you betray us?" No, I swear I didn't. How could I even dare?" Fan Rian shrank into herself, trembling with fear. She truly feared these individuals. Witnessing her fear, a slap landed on her face, stinging with burning indignation. The Min family tribe's second-in-command intervened. "Qing, calm down. I doubt this fool has the guts. Fan Rian bit her lip, casting her gaze downward with sullen resignation. She silently retorted, "You may call me a fool, but you're no better," always getting captured. Fury flickered in the Tiger Head tribe leader's eyes as he glared at Fan Rian. He longed to unleash his anger upon her, but rescuing her remained the top priority. Find another way to lure that official's wife out of the city. What? Fan Rian appeared on the verge of tears. I fear it won't be simply after coaxing her out of the city numerous times. I worry she'll become suspicious. The Min family tribe's second-in-command cast a disdainful glance her way. He privately acknowledged that this fool of a woman was displaying a moment of intelligence, but Qing remained puzzled by her apprehension. Chapter 1892, bringing Mrs. Guan in. Not only was she suspicious now, but she had been suspicious all along. Wasn't the incident at Qingsong Monastery evidence enough? That wife of the dog official was certainly audacious. Despite knowing the risk, she dared to venture for the euro. Perhaps her standing in the official's esteem wasn't as high as assumed. The second-in-command declared, "Seek out Deputy Prefect Guan's wife and devise a plan to ensnare her alongside you." Fan Rian was caught off guard. With a sneer, the second-in-command taunted, "Unwilling? If not, then swiftly concoct a scheme to lure the dog official's wife out of the city." "I am willing, truly." Fan Rian desired to avoid further entanglement with Xiao Xian. She asserted without hesitation, "Mrs. Guan harbors immense disdain for that foolish couple. She'll undoubtedly assist us." The second-in-command remained silent. Whether she was willing or not might not be within her control. "You'll meet with her tomorrow." "Understood, Remember, you must go. You must convince her or else." With a sneer, the second-in-command forcibly led away the scowling leader of the Tiger Head tribe. Fan Rian slumped against the headboard, her body trembling as she struggled to catch her breath. After some time, she regained her composure, though her spirit remained drained. The weight of regret fueled her anger, intensifying her desire for Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan to face consequences. Their failure to do so would only deepen her disappointment. Every passing day felt interminable, pushing her to the brink of collapse. It was yet another night of sleeplessness. The following morning, Fan Rian awoke with dark circles under her eyes, her mind clouded and energy depleted. Reluctant to present herself in such a state, she adorned her hair with life pinglan, the golden hairpins and colorful silk flowers adding a semblance of vitality. Her face was concealed beneath a heavy layer of makeup. Surveying her appearance, she found solace in her semblance of beauty, resigning herself to the task at hand. Mrs. Guan harbored resentment, her disdain for Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan palpable. To Fan Rian's surprise, her attempts at persuasion yielded unexpected success. The government had officially declared war on the mountain bandits. Despite their victory in the initial skirmish, Mrs. Guan and even Scribe Guan remained skeptical of the government's purported strength. As Scribe Guan put it, "How capable is the government, truly? They may deceive others, but not me." Both harbored doubts, believing the government's claims to be exaggerated and suspecting Xiao Yunduan of merely indulging in self-aggrandizement. They anticipated his imminent downfall. The resilience of the three bandit strongholds, impervious to previous government attempts at destruction, only bolstered their skepticism. Xiao Yunduan's recent arrival only served to heighten their doubts. Who was he to triumph over the entrenched mountain bandits? Convinced of Xiao Yunduan's impending failure, Mrs. Guan readily agreed to collaborate without hesitation, mobilizing the bandits for action. Facing financial constraints, Fan Rian offered to cover the expenses herself. She wagered that with Xiao Yunduan's downfall, Scribe Guan would emerge triumphant, possibly even ascending to the role of prefect. At that point, financial worries would become a thing of the past. When the time came, Mrs. Guan vowed to repay her debt. Yet there was a matter to settle first. Wouldn't it be ideal if he were absolved of guilt? With receipt in hand, Fan Rian approached Mrs. Guan, charming her with a smile and prompting her to sign. Overwhelmed with delight, Mrs. Guan, unable to read and trusting in Fan Rian's integrity, pressed her thumbprint without hesitation. Chapter 1893, Tricked Fan Rian couldn't help but regard Mrs. Guan with a newfound kindness, her smile deepening. She no longer felt alone in her struggle. She finally had an ally to share her burdens with. However, the next day, when Fan Rian met Mrs. Guan in the city courtyard as arranged, she was shocked to find the second-in-command of the Min family tribe and the head of the Tiger Head tribe accompanying her. As she listened to their arrogant demands and learned of their identities, she was left dumbfounded. Initially, Mrs. Guan was furious and adamantly refused their requests. She argued that since she had paid them, they should be the ones to carry out the tasks. The idea of her husband becoming a spy was unthinkable and taboo. The repercussions of such an act being discovered would not only ruin his career but could also result in his family being expelled. Furthermore, Mrs. Guan realized that by agreeing to their demands, she inadvertently implicated herself in front of Fan Rian. She understood the gravity of the situation only after comprehending the document she had signed and stamped the previous day, feeling as though she had been struck by lightning. In her anger and frustration, Mrs. Guan lashed out at Fan Rian, accusing her of deceit. You tricked me." Fan Rian's smile remained gentle as she spoke. "I'm not trying to deceive you, Mrs. Guan. I'm here to assist you. We share a common goal. Don't you desire the demise of Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan?" Mrs. Guan was left speechless, acknowledging the truth in Fan Rian's words, albeit unspoken. Before she could protest further, the leader of the Tiger Head tribe grew impatient, interrupting, "Enough with the chatter. Where are the written agreements? Do you think I'd hesitate to deliver them to the authorities now?" Mrs. Guan felt her head spinning. Returning home on unsteady legs, she recounted the encounter to Scribe Guan, who reacted with a mixture of shock and anger. After a moment of contemplation, he resigned himself to the situation, finding solace in the opportunity it presented. He chose to keep the matter to himself, realizing that it aligned with his own desires to collaborate with the mountain bandits. His wife's actions merely solidified his decision. That night, the first and second in command of the Tiger Head tribe stealthily entered Scribe Guan's house. Scribe Guan maintained his usual composure as he received them in his modest study. In the course of their conversation, both sides found themselves in a remarkably harmonious accord. It came as no surprise. During Scribe Guan's tenure as deputy prefect, he had engaged in dealings with the mountain, albeit indirectly. While he had never met their leader or engaged in direct contact, their paths had crossed in various ways. Given the circumstances that now compelled cooperation, it seemed only natural for all parties to come together. Despite the discomfort of being coerced, Scribe Guan rationalized that Xiao Yunduan's actions had provoked such measures from the mountain dwellers. Viewing it from this perspective, the arrangement became more palatably before long, an agreement was reached. The leader of the Tiger Head tribe would assist in eliminating Xiao Yunduan, staging his demise as an accident. Such a resolution would spare the province considerable trouble and provide the court with a plausible explanation. He resolved to ascertain the whereabouts of Xiao Yunduan's incarcerated associates with utmost urgency. When the leader of the Tiger Head tribe dispatched individuals to liberate them from prison, he pledged his assistancia. As for Xiao Xian, the prefect's wife, the Tiger Head tribe leader couldn't afford to prioritize her at present. With Xiao Yunduan eliminated, her significance would diminish even further. Her behavior baffled them. Despite multiple attempts to abduct her, each endeavor ended in unexpected circumstances. They were left somewhat unsettled and opted to refrain from further action against her for the time being. Moreover, there were suspicions that she might be under clandestine surveillance. Chapter 1894. Cooperation. They couldn't afford to waste any more time. Swiftly rescuing their captured comrades from the clutches of the officials became their top priority. Failure to act promptly would only leave them in a perpetually disadvantaged position. Despite the perceptions of cruelty, inhumanity, shamelessness, and despicability from the outside world, their loyalty to one another and their shared experiences mattered most within their ranks. Ignoring the plight of their captured brethren and defying the government's authority would essentially equate to their betrayal and demise. Such actions would undoubtedly breed disillusionment among their comrades, potentially leading to the disintegration of their entire community. Aware of potential dissenting voices within their midst, They understood the dire consequences of inaction. Should dissent prevail, their fate would be sealed, even without the government's intervention. Scribe Guan, recognizing his ability to gather intelligence and collaborate with them, saw an opportunity to leverage his past influence. Despite his current position as a lowly scribe, his years as deputy prefect had left him with allies, individuals indebted to him, and those aware of others' weaknesses. It was the perfect moment to capitalize on these connections. With minimal effort, Scribe Guan obtained precise information regarding the captives' whereabouts. He promptly contacted them, advising them to prepare themselves, as reinforcements from the mountain were on their way to effect their rescue. When the leader of the Tiger Head tribe and the second-in-command of the Min tribe received the news, they promptly scheduled a midnight meeting with Deputy Prefect Guan 2 days later. A villager would be dispatched to initiate a breakout from the prison, and they requested Deputy Prefect Guan to make the necessary arrangements. Their plan included setting fires in the state office and ensuring the jailers were intoxicated beforehand. Deputy Prefect Guan readily agreed to their proposal. On the appointed night, chaos erupted within the expansive state office. Approximately 50 to 60 individuals from the 3 villages assembled. As flames engulfed the deputy prefect's office, they launched a coordinated assault on the office's rear courtyard. Despite Scribe Guan's arrangements for them to access the designated prison, they bypassed it entirely and headed directly to the east yard where Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were housed. Their distrust of Scribe Guan ran deep. They couldn't fathom why a man under scrutiny by the authorities, particularly one despised by Xiao Yunduan, wouldn't be under surveillance himself. Having been deceived once before, they refused to be duped again. Falling for the same trick twice would be sheer folly on their part. During this special period, Zheng Sang and the others all lived in the state office, including the dozens of people sent by Meng Wanfu. Since they had already been officially exposed, there was no need to split up and hide. They also lived in the state office to protect the safety of the state office and prevent prison break-ins. Thus, although the other party's attacks were swift and fierce, Zheng Sang and the others were experienced. Wu Guan, Wei San, and the others who were patrolling the night would block the first wave of attacks. Just as they were about to be defeated, Sun Bai, Yi, Wei Wu, and the others had already arrived. Hang Xingshan directed the bailiffs and servants to extinguish the flames spreading throughout the premises, while Sun Qian led a contingent to lie in wait outside the prison, ready to thwart any attempted break-ins. Inside the bedroom of the east yard, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were together, the latter cradling Anan in her arms. The maids stood by silently, their presence a calm contrast to the chaos outside. As the flames danced outside, casting erratic shadows, the clash of swords echoed through the night. Despite the tension in the air, panic was notably absent within the confines of the room. Anan slept peacefully in Xiao Xian's embrace, her serene countenance a stark contrast to the turmoil outside. After more than 2 hours, the cacophony gradually subsided until silence reigned once more. Chapter 1895. Sudden Attack. Aftermath. Sun Bai entered the house and relayed through the bedroom door curtain, "My lord, the intruders have retreated. I've dispatched men to pursue them, but it's uncertain if any remain hidden within the state office. For now, it's best for you and madam to remain indoors. I've already ordered a thorough search of the east courtyard, and no irregularities have been found. I'll manage the aftermath immediately. Yi will lead the guards to patrol the east courtyard. You can rest assured, my lord and madam." Xiao Yunduan nodded. "Proceed with the necessary arrangements. Assign men to patrol the city and advise the populace to remain vigilant and restrict unnecessary outings. Strengthen security at the city gate, opening it at dawn for inspection of all entering and exiting individuals. Detain anyone arousing suspicion. If manpower is lacking, enlist aid from local guards and the first in charge to bolster our efforts at the city gate." Sun Bai was taken aback, his face breaking into a pleased smile. "My lord's strategy is ingenious. We won't lack for manpower." While entry into the state government office was impossible, stationing reliable individuals to patrol and guard the city gate was entirely feasible. A mere 2 bailiffs could lead the team. Sun Bai hastened to implement the directives. while Xiao Yunduan instructed Li Xia and the others to rest. He entrusted Anan to the nanny's care, then took Xiao Xian in his arms, smiling reassuringly, "My dear, you've stayed awake half the night. It's time for you to rest as well. Sleep soundly." Xiao Xian agreed with a smile and settled down beside him. Outside, the bailiffs swiftly commenced the cleanup process, diligently addressing the aftermath of the chaos. The aftermath in the east courtyard, where the fire had raged, demanded immediate attention. Despite being extinguished, it left a disarray that required thorough tidying. The aftermath of the intense conflict left behind a scene of devastation. Numerous mountain bandits lay strewn across the ground, their weapons scattered amidst pools of blood, painting a grim tableau of the recent skirmish. Among all areas within the state office, the east courtyard bore the brunt of the damage, though other areas also bore traces of the altercation, albeit to a lesser extent. Curiously, there was no activity observed at the prison. It remained undisturbed throughout the night, devoid of any visitors. A handful of mountain bandits managed to evade capture, their movements reported sporadically by those who returned. Some were apprehended, while others continued to elude capture, their whereabouts unknown. Sun Bai, meticulously orchestrating affairs, relayed updates and issued directives ceaselessly throughout the night, ensuring the state office remained vigilant and active. Unbeknownst to all, once Sun Bai had effectively stabilized the situation, he and Yi remained behind to oversee operations. Meanwhile, Sun Qian, Zheng Sang, Wu Guan, Hang Xingshan, Yang Mu, Wei San, Wei Wu, and their cohorts, accompanied by a contingent of subordinates and bailiffs totaling approximately 120 individuals, quietly departed the city under the cover of night. After traveling more than 20 miles from the city, the group disembarked from their carriages one by one. They dispersed into the surrounding mountain ranges, advancing stealthily toward the Tiger Head tribe from 3 different directions. Little did anyone in the 3 villages suspect that Xiao Yunduan would dare to launch an attack on their villages before fully quelling the situation at the state office. Their lack of preparedness would undoubtedly exact a devastating taliero as dawn approached. News of the previous night's events spread rapidly throughout the city. Rumors circulated that mountain bandits had infiltrated, only to suffer a resounding defeat during their assault on the state government office. More than 10 assailants had managed to escape, but 11 had already been apprehended. Authorities continued their efforts to capture the remaining 4 or 5 fugitives. Given the ruthless and cunning nature of the mountain bandits, the populace was urged to prioritize self-protection. They were advised against unnecessary outings, especially alone or in sparsely populated areas. Suspected individuals were to be discreetly reported to the patrol team, with a promise of a reward of 10 taels of silver for each successful tip-off. Upon hearing this incentive, the common folk felt emboldened and motivated to aid in the apprehension efforts. Chapter 1896. Can't leave the city. The common folk harbored a natural fear of mountain bandits, but seeing their weakness firsthand, they appeared more akin to street rats, cowering from the authorities. With the allure of 10 taels of silver and the visible presence of patrols led by bailiffs, the once feared bandits seemed less intimidating to the populace. The tantalizing promise of 10 taels of silver proved irresistible. In less than half a day, 3 more mountain bandits fell into the clutches of officials and vigilant commoners, who left no stone unturned in their pursuit. Remarkably, 2 of the captives were apprehended thanks to tips from the common folk. News of these apprehensions swiftly spread throughout the city, further emboldening and energizing its inhabitants. The mountain bandits, once perceived as formidable adversaries, now seemed decidedly less fearsome, mere mortals subject to capture like any other criminals. Eager citizens scanned the streets vigilantly, some even forming groups to patrol and explore remote alleys in hopes of earning the coveted 10 taels of silver. The unexpected turn of events left Xiao Yunduan and his cohorts in a state of disbelief, unsure whether to laugh or cry at the unforeseen outcome. Meanwhile, in Fan Ruyan's bedroom, the leader of the Tiger Head tribe, second-in-charge Min, and 2 other key figures of the mountain stronghold remained concealed, their presence unbeknownst to anyone in the office. In a corner of the room, Fan Ruyan trembled, her form huddled and bruised. The 4 individuals present bore visible signs of injury, The leader of the tiger head tribe sported a lengthy scar across his face, while another suffered from a sizable arm wound, hastily bandaged and stained with blood. The remaining two, though their injuries remained obscured beneath their bloodied attire, emitted an aura of pain and distress. The room reeked of blood mingled with the scent of incense wafting from the burner on the table, contributing to an atmosphere fraught with dread. Fan Ruyan's trembling wasn't merely from fear. She had endured 2 slaps to her face and 2 to her body, yet she dared not cry out in pain or leave her corner. She understood she was a target for their wrath, a punching bag for their frustrations. Her realization of the dire consequences of her actions filled her with profound regret. She had naively courted danger, now trapped in a situation from which escape seemed impossible. 2 days had elapsed, yet the city remained under stringent scrutiny. Venturing beyond the confines of Fan Manor seemed an insurmountable risk, a luxury denied amidst the ongoing search. Under Xiao Yunduan's rigorous surveillance, leaving the confines of Fan Manor would inevitably lead to discovery. Despite their confidence in Fan Ruyan's loyalty, the sense of entrapment gnawed at their nerves. Unaware of the tiger head tribe's demise, they remained oblivious to their own imminent downfall. Hang Xingshan's chance discovery of a remote path leading to the rear of the tiger head tribe provided a glimmer of hope. Though treacherous and perilous, the path offered a potential means of escape. Gathering their courage, the group of over 30 individuals embarked on a precarious journey, scaling the back mountains of the tiger head tribe under the cover of twilight. Their intrusion did not go unnoticed. Sentry posts at the rear of the mountain detected their presence, but before any alarm could be raised, they met a swift demise at the hands of Hang Xingshan and his cohorts. Under the cover of darkness, Hang Xingshan and his companions infiltrated the tiger head tribe from the rear of the mountain, silently setting up an ambush. In the dead of night, they stealthily advanced, swiftly dispatching any adversaries in their path while igniting fires to sow chaos within the tribe. Seizing the opportunity amidst the turmoil, another member of the group donned the attire of the fallen bandits, seamlessly blending in with the ranks of the intermediate bandits. Their guise allowed them to approach the front gate unhindered, facilitating its opening. Observing the sudden eruption of flames from their vantage point several miles away, Sun Qian and his cohorts sprang into action. Overcoming any opposition encountered along the way, they surged towards the tiger head tribe, joining forces with Hang Xingshan and his team to eliminate the bandits. Chapter 1897. Attack. The once formidable tiger head tribe had been significantly weakened, with its 3 leaders and 2 minor chiefs conspicuously absent. The losses sustained in the preceding skirmishes had already depleted 60 to 70% of their core forces. Faced with the sudden onslaught from government forces, they found themselves disoriented and unable to mount a cohesive defense. Amidst the chaos, a mass exodus ensued as survival became the paramount concern. Once the floodgates of flight were opened, the torrent of fleeing bandits proved unstoppable, signaling a decisive turning point in the conflict. By the break of dawn, the battle neared its conclusion. For those mountain bandits who managed to escape, safe passage was not guaranteed. Zheng Sang, Wei San, and their contingent of 30 individuals lay in wait on the fringes of the tiger head tribe, ensnaring any fugitives who fell into their trap. Though they labored diligently, Zheng Sang and Wei San lamented their insufficient numbers, ruining their inability to apprehend every fleeing bandit. Meanwhile, the officials corralled the panicked servants, bandits, and their families, binding them together and securing their temporary custody. With the mountain stronghold thoroughly searched, all structures were razed to the ground, and essential supplies commandeered. The captive individuals were then escorted down the mountain and delivered to Lord Xiao in the city for interrogation and subsequent judgment. The annihilation of the tiger head tribe posed a formidable challenge, given its long-standing existence and entrenched operations. However, with limited manpower at their disposal, the government office faced a dilemma. Stationing a permanent garrison was unfeasible, and leaving too few defenders risked vulnerability to potential counterattacks from the Min family tribe and Liuhe Fort. Thus, the only recourse was to raze it to the ground. In this scenario, the advantages of a full-fledged army were evident. With an army, numerical considerations were secondary, enabling a swift occupation of the territory without undue constraint. Despite the urgency, caution prevailed. Concerns lingered regarding potential reprisals from Liuhe Fort and the Min family tribe following the escape and subsequent report of the bandits. While the likelihood of an immediate assault was deemed low, vigilance remained paramount. Consequently, the destruction, incineration, and search operations were conducted with meticulous attention to detail, ensuring no critical areas were overlooked. Key structures such as the front and rear gates, sentry towers, 3 fortresses, main hall, kitchen, warehouse, and living quarters were systematically dismantled or set ablaze, leaving no stone unturned in the eradication process. The captured individuals, numbering between 20 to 30, were pressed into labor to hasten the destruction of the mountain stronghold. With time pressing, they were swiftly escorted down the mountain under cover of night, returning to the city without delay. Meanwhile, Zheng Sang, Wei San, and their companions left no survivors among the escapees, viewing them as deserving of their fate for their years of tyranny and exploitation of the common folk. Operating discreetly from the shadows, they monitored the progress of Sun Qian and his escort team, maintaining a vigilant stance. As the group finally staggered into An's prefecture city at 4 o'clock in the morning, a sense of relief washed over them. The morning star hung low in the sky, casting a faint greenish-white hue over the eastern horizon. Remarkably, the journey transpired without incident. Escorting such a large number of captives back to the government office proved impractical. Consequently, they were divided into 2 groups, one comprising dozens of identified criminals escorted directly to the office, while the remainder were temporarily detained in the spacious courtyard occupied by Zheng Sang and his cohorts. Chapter 1898. A complete victory upon identification, the mountain bandits would undergo release and subsequent punishment, a process requiring ongoing surveillance and management. Despite the cover of darkness upon their arrival in the city, the sheer size of the captured bandit contingent could not escape notice, quickly spreading as gossip among the populace. By dawn, word had reached even the early opening vendors, causing a stir throughout the city. In response to the burgeoning rumors, Xiao Yunduan opted for transparency, swiftly issuing an official announcement to quell speculation. The public's reaction was one of jubilation and astonishment. The accomplishment of dismantling the notorious Tiger Head tribe, a feat previously beyond the grasp of the imperial forces, elicited praise and admiration for Lord Xiao. The abrupt vanquishing of one of the province's long-standing bandit strongholds left the major families awestruck, their sentiments complex and uncertain. Lord Xiao's astute handling of the situation garnered widespread acclaim, solidifying his reputation as a formidable and resourceful leader. The eradication of the Tiger Head tribe was a monumental achievement, acknowledged by even the most uninformed citizens. Its demise foreshadowed the potential collapse of the remaining mountain strongholds, affirming the significance of the battle at Giant Rock Gorge. The officials' claims were vindicated, dispelling any doubts held by skeptical family clans. With hundreds of captives in custody, the looming specter of food scarcity and potential unrest demanded immediate attention. Xiao Yunduan entrusted the task to Jia Heming. Over the course of 3 days, Jia Heming meticulously categorized the captives, discerning between ordinary bandits, key figures, and support personnel. The ordinary bandits and leaders were to remain detained, while family members and servants were to be transferred to the nearest salt pan under county oversight, where they would undergo penance for their complicity in the banditry. Determining the duration of exemption varied for each individual, spanning from 3 to 10 years. However, outright release for these individuals was out of the question. Even if some were coerced into serving the mountain bandits, their time spent in such circumstances remained uncertain. Given the overwhelming workload of the state office, there was neither the manpower nor the time to scrutinize each captive's backstory thoroughly. Sending them all to the salt pan for hard labor was a justifiable course of action, with the possibility of eventual release for those deserving of leniency. As for the backbone of the mountain bandits, who had committed numerous atrocities, they faced a different fate. Subjected to interrogation and legal proceedings, they would be duly punished according to the law, either through imprisonment or exile. With the pressing matter of the remaining strongholds demanding attention, Xiao Yunduan found himself unable to allocate resources for individual interrogations. Instead, he resorted to locking up all captives, leaving two challenges still looming. As the government office grappled with the aftermath of the Tiger Head tribe's demise, Hang Xingshan, Wei San, and their cohorts remained tasked with covertly monitoring the Min family tribe and Liuhe fort. Meanwhile, strict patrols and vigilant guards maintained security in An's continent's intermediate city. Stringent measures at the city gate prevented the second-in-charge of the Min family tribe and others from departing. Fearful of the consequences, Fan Ruyan refrained from disclosing the breach of Tiger Head tribe to its leaders. Uncertain of Xiao Yunduan's fate should they discover the distressing news, she braced herself for potential retaliation, growing increasingly apprehensive with each passing day. Chapter 1899. Be more specific. They were driving her to the brink of madness. Desperate to depart the city, she wished for nothing more than their swift exit, but her options were limited. The security at the city gate remained unbending. Even the carriages of the esteemed three families faced stringent scrutiny. There was no exception. Despite her overwhelming anxiety, she felt powerless. In the midst of Fan Ruyan's frantic distress, her worst fears materialized. Perhaps they had overheard the servants' discussions. Confronted with intense interrogation, Fan Ruyan dared not conceal the truth. She stuttered and quivered as she divulged everything. With her confession, the second-in-command and the others were left dumbfounded. The leader of the Tiger Head tribe delivered a harsh kick and snarled, "Ridiculous! Absurd! Foolish woman, how dare you speak ill of our Tiger Head tribe? Do you wish to provoke your demise? Do you believe I won't snap your neck?" Fan Ruyan let out a piercing scream as she collapsed to the ground. A sheen of icy sweat coated her brow, and a sharp pang shot through her ribs. Without glancing, she sensed the ominous bruise forming. The leader of the Tiger Head tribe moved to advance and deliver a blow, but the second-in-command intervened, halting him. Turning towards Fan Ruyan, the second-in-command demanded, "Continue. Tell me everything. This foolish woman is surely fabricating tales. What could she possibly know? That wretched official must have concocted falsehoods to lure us out. Yes, that must be it. Our Tiger Head tribe's territory is perilous, easily defensible, impervious to attack by feeble government forces. It's inconceivable." Fan Ruyan quivered, stuttering, "I am as Klesiro. I've divulged all I know. It's merely hearsay from beyond our realm. Under the relentless interrogation of the second-in-command, she faltered, adding more details with a tremulous voice. Yet they all bore semblance to falsehoods. As for how the government managed to attack the Tiger Head tribe, not even Fan Ruyan, let alone the ordinary scribes in the government, would have any knowledge of such operations. It was undoubtedly a closely guarded secret. At this juncture, the second-in-command and the others grew even more agitated. They yearned to depart the city post-haste and return to the safety of their stockade. Only upon returning to the Min family tribe and Liuhe fort could they hope to unravel the intricacies of the situation. "Listen to me. By tomorrow at the latest, I must be out of this city, by any means necessary. Otherwise, it'll unleash chaos. Do you believe I won't be the first to draw blood?" The leader of the Tiger Head tribe seethed with frustration, his desire to exact vengeance palpable. Fan Ruyan's face drained of color in terror, her body trembling like an autumn leaf caught in a storm. The second-in-command addressed her sternly, "Did you hear that? Waste no time in devising a plan to facilitate our departure. Consider the consequences for your Fan family before entertaining any foolish notions." Fan Ruyan staggered, nearly collapsing to the ground. She managed to make her way out of the room and into the courtyard, where she found herself overwhelmed by dizziness and blurred vision. Darkness crept into her sight, threatening to engulf her. In a haze, she stumbled into Old Lady Fan's courtyard, her vacant expression unsettling the maidservants. Once upon a time, any display of fear or disarray from the maidservants would have earned them a swift and severe reprimand from Fan Ruyan. Yet today, she merely ignored them, her mind lost in a fog. Old Lady Fan reclined on a plush couch, her eyes half-lidded with rest. She beckoned a servant girl to kneel before her, gently massaging her tired legs. Upon hearing Fan Rian's hollow voice, Old Lady Fan instinctively looked up, her surprise mirrored in her expression. Hastily, she dismissed the girl and sat up straight. "What's the matter? Why do you appear so distressed?" Chapter 1900. Caught in hobble. Old Lady Fan's eyebrows shot up, a wave of anger rippling across her features. "Did your brother and sister-in-law do something?" she demanded. "No, no." Fan Rian shook her head, gesturing for the maids to leave. She then threw herself into her mother's arms, tears streaming down her face. "Mother, please save me, please." Old Lady Fan was taken aback by her daughter's distress. "How could you be so careless? Leaving evidence behind so easily. This won't end well, not at all." She harbored no qualms about Fan Rian's attempt to eliminate Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. They had crossed a line and deserved their fate. But Fan Rian's lack of caution had put them all in jeopardy. At her mother's reprimand, Fan Rian felt a measure of relief, though her guilt lingered. "But mother, what do we do now? Those 4 people are still in our house." "Oh, Hugh." Old Lady Fan's gaze bore into her. What to do now? It was a dilemma indeed. With the city under martial law, extracting them wouldn't be simple. It might be feasible for one person, but with 4 involved, it posed a significant challenge. That won't do at all. It was simply impossible to keep this matter hidden from everyone. At the very least, they would need assistance from the Guan family, their trusted maidservants, and other servants. But with their involvement, the secret could easily slip out, spelling disaster for the Fan family. Yet, they couldn't abandon Themuro. As Old Lady Fan pondered, frustration bubbled within her, leading to another scolding directed at Fan Rian. Tears welled up in Fan Rian's eyes. Seeing her daughter, once vibrant and full of life, now reduced to trembling fear, Old Lady Fan's heart softened. She couldn't bear to continue scolding her. It was Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan who deserved the scolding. If they hadn't interfered, none of this would have happened. Hadn't En's prefecture city been peaceful all these years? Why did they have to meddle? Summoning her 2 sons, Old Lady Fan grilled them for answers. Had the government truly obliterated the Tiger Head tribe, or was it exaggerated? What was the current status of the tribe? Had the stronghold truly fallen? And what about the bandits? Had most fled to the Min family tribe in Liuhe Fort? And so it continued. Second Old Master Fan seemed unusually knowledgeable. Old Lady Fan pressed for answers, growing impatient with his evasiveness. "I'm neither a mountain bandit from Tiger Head tribe nor a constable from the government. How would I know?" Angrily, Old Lady Fan retorted, "If you know nothing, then what good are you? If you're so useless, why bother being here?" Second Old Master Fan snapped back, frustration evident. "If you're so bored, why not hire storytellers? Why bother with this? It's unrelated to us. Why would I bother knowing? It's nothing but bad luck. What nonsense. Keep quiet." The exchange escalated into a heated argument between mother and son. Fan Rian, burdened with guilt, found her brother's words grating and joined in, further infuriating Second Old Master Fan. First Old Master Fan, silent until now, felt an odd sensation creeping over him. Suddenly he interjected, "Mother, are we somehow connected to Tiger Head tribe?" Chapter 1901. Reporting to the official. Old Lady Fan was taken aback, her response sharp. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Though her reaction was swift, First Old Master Fan had already grasped the truth. A chill settled over his heart. Under his stern interrogation, Fan Rian reluctantly admitted her mistake. With Old Lady Fan unwilling to intervene, she found herself caught in a vicious cycle. "Since you've asked, we're family after all. I might as well tell you. We need to find a solution to this. We're in this together, for better or worse." Old Lady Fan remained silent, leaving Fan Rian to explain. Initially hesitant, Fan Rian stumbled over her words as she tried to deflect. Facing First Old Master Fan's relentless questioning, she had no choice but to come clean. Second Old Master Fan was aghast, his emotions a mix of shock, anger, and fear. Pointing an accusing finger at Fan Rian, he exclaimed, You dare to court disaster. Those bandits are ruthless. Even we steer clear of them. But you willingly walked into their den like a lamb to the slaughter. If they spare you, who else would they spare? And yet you have the nerve to shed tears? It seems you're aiming to bring ruin upon us all. Fan Rian was overwhelmed with a mix of aggrievement, embarrassment, fear, and terror. Her brother's coldness pierced her heart, filling it with a chilling despair. Tears streamed down her face as she cried out, How is this my fault? I'm acting in the best interests of the Fan family, trying to alleviate our worries. That official won't spare us. Don't delude yourself. I'm just trying to take preemptive action. Don't be so full of yourself, Second Old Master Fan snapped, his anger flaring. You refuse to acknowledge your mistakes, yet somehow turn them into heroic deeds? It's absurd. And it's all because Mother indulges you. Old Lady Fan interjected sharply, Second son, have you lost your mind? Criticizing your own mother? I think Ener has a point. If you weren't so useless, why would you rely on her? That Xiao has been targeting our family. If we don't act, hell never let us be. How did you Euro? Enough, both of you. Why you arguing at a time like this? First Old Master Fan's head throbbed with frustration. He admonished them sternly, This is not the time for squabbling. We can't afford any more mistakes. What are you suggesting? Old Lady Fan and Fan Rian spoke simultaneously. First Old Master Fan glanced between his mother and sister before speaking with resolve. We need to confess to the authorities. Second brother and I will personally apologize to Lord Xiao. What? No, absolutely not. No, that's not an option. Let's split up. We need to do it now. First Old Master Fan's tone brooked no argument. I won't accept anything in between. My wife and children will leave with me immediately. Old Lady Fan shook with fury. You unfilial child. First Old Master Fan remained composed. Mother, you're leading the family to ruin. If I leave, at least there will still be descendants of the Fan family. What's wrong with that? You're old, and if you're sentenced, they'll likely be lenient. They'll be there to take care of you when that time comes. Silence. Old Lady Fan was on the brink of losing her mind. She seized the teacup and struck her eldest son with it. You traitor! How dare you! The Tiger Head tribe has been wiped out. The Min family tribe and Liu He fort won't fare any better. Lord Xiao means business. Do you truly believe he'll spare the Fan family once this comes to light? And who's to say the officials are telling the truth? It's possible the Tiger Head tribe still stands. Perhaps they've all sought refuge with the Min family tribe and Liu He fort? Chapter 1902, Distributing Money to Eliminate Disasters, that Xiao may have caught the Tiger Head tribe off guard, but using the same tactic on the Min family tribe and Liu He fort? Highly improbable. What are the odds? And when he's gone, who will be privy to our family's deeds? Second Old Master Fan had a revelation. I see now why you've been so curious about Themuro. First Old Master Fan shook his head with a bitter smile. Ever since Lord Xiao assumed office, his actions have been nothing short of decisive. Moreover, there were reports of hundreds of bandits and their families being escorted out of An's province. Witnesses abound. How could it be fabricated? I've also heard of officials lurking near the Min family tribe and Liu He fort. Those mountain bandits hardly dare to venture down. Lord Xiao's might is beyond measure. Even if he ultimately fails, the Min family tribe and Liu He fort won't emerge unscathed. At the very least, they'll suffer internal strife. And wouldn't the imperial court send troops to quell them then? Even if the court doesn't intervene, the Min family tribe and Liu He fort aren't exactly paragons of virtue. If we're deeply entangled, will they allow us to sever ties easily? Will we have to live under their threat indefinitely? Can Mother guarantee that the imperial court won't crush the bandits or that our secret won't come to light? Once exposed, our family will face plunder and exile. It's like a sword dangling over our heads. There were boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. In the past, even when the Fan clan negotiated with the mountain bandits, they knew when to stop. Both sides maintained a careful distance, ensuring no incriminating evidence exchanged hands. But Fan Ruyan's actions were foolish. Shed welcomed danger with open arms, inviting disaster. What made matters worse was her refusal to admit fault. She genuinely believed she was acting in the family's best interests. Her stubbornness grated on First Old Master Fan. He contemplated splitting up, even if it meant enduring hardship. Old Lady Fan was at a loss for words. Fan Ruyan, trembling, glanced at her mother and brothers, feeling a sense of unease. Finally, after a prolonged silence, Old Lady Fan spoke in a hushed tone. "If we report this to the authorities, will they not pursue the matter?" "Mom, quiet." First Old Master Fan snapped at Fan Ruyan, resisting the urge to scoff at his mother's optimism. "How could the government not pursue this? Do you realize the gravity of our situation? But if we confess, even if they do, it's just forfeiting some assets and enduring a few punishments. It's far better than risking the annihilation of our entire family." Fan Ruyan interjected anxiously, "That's not acceptable. Can the Fan family still uphold its status as one of the 3 major families in An's province? Lord Shao will demand a hefty price." First Old Master Fan shot her a cold glare. Being associated with banditry is a capital offense, punishable by confiscation, exile, or even execution. Do you still care about our family's reputation? What use are titles and possessions if you're dead? You won't even be able to hold on to those when the time comes. Fan Ruyan's complexion fluctuated between red and white, her heart throbbing painfully. She couldn't bear to continue, unable to meet First Old Master Fan's gaze. Second Old Master Fan winced, his teeth clenched in agony. "I side with my elder brother Euro. What choice do I have?" After a prolonged silence, Old Lady Fan sighed heavily. "Forget it. I won't intervene. Do as you see fit. But I have one condition. Your sister has been coddled since childhood. I won't allow her to suffer." Chapter 1903. Apology tears streamed down Fan Ruyan's cheeks. Mathururo, the second Old Master Fan, cast a brief glance at Fan Ruyan, but remained silent. Despite his dissatisfaction, he couldn't bring himself to defy his mother, nor did he entertain the thought of sacrificing his sister. The first Old Master Fan sighed heavily and nodded. "Sister, let it be. Do not involve yourself any further in this matter." In essence, the burden of this issue would fall upon the first Old Master Fan. Fan Ruyan, finally feeling a pang of guilt, murmured softly, "Thank you, Elder brother Euro." Though the situation seemed resolved, Fan Ruyan still felt a lingering unease. With trepidation gripping her, she found herself unwilling to return to face the second-in-command and the others, and so she declared her intention to stay with her mother. Old Lady Fan consented. The first Old Master Fan pondered their predicament. He promptly instructed Fan Ruyan to return and pacify the others with some strategic information. Those individuals were inherently cunning and would undoubtedly be on high alert. If Fan Ruyan failed to return, their suspicions would be aroused, possibly leading to rash actions. Despite the presence of guards at home, they were no match for such cunning adversaries. The consequences of injury or death would be dire, and if the culprits escaped, the Fan family would be left to bear the weight of their transgressions. Fan Ruyan hesitated at the thought of returning. Once, facing the situation head-on seemed manageable, but now, having vocalized her fear, she found herself devoid of courage. She simply couldn't muster the strength to face it again. Fear gripped her tightly. The first Old Master Fan's frustration nearly reached its boiling point. The second Old Master Fan's anger was palpable. Why did fear suddenly strike you now? Were you not afraid when you first stumbled upon them? You showed no fear after sheltering them in our residence for days. Yet now, you claim to be afraid. Your timing couldn't be worse. You must maintain your facade convincingly. Failure to do so could spell disaster for our family. Reluctantly, Fan Ruyan beseeched the first Old Master Fan to hasten to the government for assistance. Despite her plea, she eventually found herself returning to the courtyard. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the first Old Master Fan wasted no time. He understood that prompt action was paramount to demonstrating sincerity. With his decision made, he promptly ordered the carriage prepared and set out without delay, heading straight for the government office. Xiao Yunduan found himself inundated with responsibilities, the court abuzz with activity. Unable to meet with the first old master fan immediately, Xiao Yunduan received word, albeit at a considerable expense, that urgent matters required his attention. Xiao Yunduan didn't meet him until he received notification. Upon their encounter, the first old master fan immediately dropped to his knees before Xiao Yunduan, performing 3 deep kowtows. As he lifted his head, a trickle of blood adorned his forehead, yet he seemed unaffected by the pain. With a solemn expression, he implored, "Lord Xiao, I beg for your mercy." Tears streamed down the first old master fan's face as he confessed, shouldering full responsibility for the ordeal. He admitted to succumbing to greed and foolishly harboring the mountain bandits in his home after being coerced by them. The weight of his actions grew heavier with each passing day, especially after the complete obliteration of the Tiger Head tribe, a testament to Lord Xiao's formidable power. It was then that he realized the magnitude of his error. In a bid to rectify his wrongdoing and prevent further harm, he mustered the courage to surrender himself. He pleaded earnestly for Lord Xiao's forgiveness, hoping for clemency for the Fan family. Xiao Yunduan had harbored suspicions regarding the Fan family, fueled by Qiao Xian's revelations. However, lacking concrete evidence, he couldn't justify ordering a search. Instead, they could only wait for the Fan family's exposure, anticipating the opportune moment to apprehend them. Unexpectedly, the first old master fan had taken the initiative to confess. Despite this, Xiao Yunduan remained skeptical of the veracity of the first old master fan's claims. Chapter 1904. Punishment. In Xiao Yunduan's estimation, the notion of the first old master fan committing such a foolish act seemed improbable, regardless of his perceived foolishness. Conversely, the second old master fan appeared lacking in the courage required for such a scheme. In contrast, the woman seeking a husband appeared impulsive and arrogant, heedless of the consequences of her actions. However, given the first old master fan's confession, Xiao Yunduan saw no need to expose him. Ultimately, the outcome remained unchanged, and it mattered little to him. It was advantageous that the first old master fan willingly assumed responsibility. As the head of the family, his culpability would only exacerbate matters. The imperative task of apprehending the mountain bandits demanded immediate attention. Xiao Yunduan swiftly arranged for personnel to capture them from the Fan family. Turning his attention back to the first old master fan, Xiao Yunduan spoke gravely, "Banditry is a grave offense, punishable by confiscation, exile, or execution. Even if you acknowledge your wrongdoing, death cannot be evaded. Do you confess?" I confess. I plead guilty. I beseech your mercy, Lord." The first old master fan's voice quivered as he bowed once more, demonstrating respect, genuine contrition, and unwavering cooperation. Xiao Yunduan exhaled deeply, relieved that the lives of the entire family were spared. All businesses registered under the Fan family name will be forfeited daily. Failure to forfeit 150,000 mu of fertile land will result in a fine of 300,000 taels of silver. The principal offender shall be imprisoned for 3 years. To avoid imprisonment, a sum of 50,000 taels of silver may be paid as penance. However, during this period the principal offender is restricted to An's province and must conduct themselves impeccably. Any transgressions will be met with dual punishment. Xiao Yunduan's words struck the first old master fan with a pang of anguish. The severity of the punishment weighed heavily on the Fan clan. Despite bracing himself for Xiao Yunduan's judgment, he hadn't anticipated such ruthlessness. Each decree felt like a deep wound. First old master fan ventured cautiously, "Euro Lord, the Fan family will unquestionably heed your guidance from now on. Please have mercy. This punishment is truly euro. I cannot afford leniency in public. It would compromise my authority in the future. An's province operates under different circumstances. Even with the eradication of these bandits, lasting stability is uncertain. I consider my judgment to be lenient already." Cold sweat trickled down the first old master fan's back. He dared not contest further. Hastily, he nodded in agreement. "Your wisdom is undeniable, Lord." My lapse in judgment. Given the gravity of the Fan family's transgressions, he had little ground to stand on, even with their assets on the line. Xiao Yunduan's expression twisted into a sneer. As long as you understand. He cast another meaningful glance at the first Old Master Fan, adding pointedly, remember to maintain discipline within your family. Any further indiscretion will be met with impartial punishment. He wasn't oblivious to the likelihood that the first Old Master Fan might not be the primary culprit. However, he tacitly acknowledged this while ensuring the first Old Master Fan understood that he was aware of the situation. As expected, the first Old Master Fan visibly startled, his heart skipping a beat. He nodded fervently, unable to suppress the urge to wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. Xiao Yunduan summoned Jing Sang and instructed him to draft the case for the first Old Master Fan's signature. He then tasked him with leading a contingent of men to the Fan family's residence to announce the punishment and oversee the confiscation of assets. Additionally, Xiao Yunduan directed another scribe to swiftly prepare a document, making multiple copies, sealing them, and distributing them throughout the city, including at the city gate. The severity of the Fan family's offense demanded public acknowledgement and explanation, lest rumors and falsehoods spread, particularly considering the character of Old Lady Fan and Fan Ruyan. Xiao Yunduan understood the importance of clarity in such matters and resolved to draft another document to report the incident to the magistrate, ensuring transparency and accountability. Chapter 1905. Shaken the city. It was inconceivable for An's province to forego such a substantial windfall from the Fan family, despite the financial strain experienced by the provincial government. Upon receiving the confiscated funds and goods, meticulous counting was imperative, with a portion destined for remittance to the magistrate's office. The repercussions of this affair rippled through various channels. The Fan family was plunged into despair. Old Lady Fan, upon learning of the severe punishment meted out to her family, succumbed to the shock, fainting on the spot. Panic once again gripped the Fan clan. In the midst of the chaos, Fan Ruyan's gaze bore into Jia Heming. Just as she prepared to speak out, her brother, the first Old Master Fan, who had been watching her intently, swiftly grasped her sleeve, his voice a low, urgent whisper. What are you thinking? What do you intend to say? Consider who is truly responsible for all of this before you utter a word. Let me make it clear. Dealing with bandits warrants severe measures. The Fan family is compensating to quell the calamity. Cease this. Do not stir up further trouble. The Fan family cannot endure any more. Overwhelmed with shame, anger, and regret, Fan Ruyan covered her face, her words caught in her throat. With a choked sob, she turned on her heel and fled. Watching her retreat, the first Old Master Fan breathed a silent sigh of relief. Sealing the shops and acquiring land deeds were straightforward tasks. Yet, even for a wealthy household like the Fan family, producing 300,000 taels of silver at once proved daunting. They could only withdraw 100,000 taels from their public accounts. Any more would deplete their reserves entirely. Jia Heming proposed pawning antiques and jewelry as a means to alleviate the Fan family's financial woes. However, given the punitive nature of their situation, engaging in business transactions seemed impractical. With an abundance of antiques and treasures at their disposal, securing loans or extending credit through promissory notes appeared dubious. The first Old Master Fan found himself unable to negotiate and reluctantly acquiesced to Jia Heming's suggestion. Jia Heming dispatched a bailiff to the premier pawnshop in An's prefecture city, enlisting the aid of its proprietors to assess the valuables. Each item was meticulously catalogued, appraised, and packaged into boxes before being handed over to Xiao Yunduan. Meanwhile, the leader of the Tiger Head tribe, second-in-charge Min, and the two escaped mountain bandits found themselves incarcerated in the government prison. Despite initial resistance, the leader of the Tiger Head tribe's tirades were swiftly quelled with the insertion of a cloth gag. News of the Fan family's transgressions, their repentance, and subsequent punishment reverberated throughout the city, posted on every available surface. The revelation sent shockwaves through the populace, marking the most significant event of the year. The punishment meted out to the Fan family elicited both curses and applause from the common folk. Among the various family clans, it was widely understood that the power dynamics within An's prefecture city were poised for a significant shift. With the Fan family formally ousted from one of the esteemed triumvirates, speculation ran rampant about the fate of their extensive business holdings, likely to be auctioned off by the government. Everyone eyed each other warily, eager to stake their claim in the spoils. However, it was clear that the final say rested with Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. Given their considerable wealth and penchant for acquiring land, particularly the dry land in the mountains, it was expected they would show interest in prime farmland and shops. Thus, the others could only bide their time, waiting for the couple to make their selections before seizing their opportunities. Many harbored feelings of despondency and remorse, lamenting their missed chances. With ample resources at their disposal, acquiring additional shops and fertile land could have propelled them to greater heights. Some even harbored aspirations of usurping the Fan family's former status within a few short years. A few astute individuals, unwilling to leave their fate to chance, resorted to lavish gifts and flattery, seeking favor with Qiao Xian, hoping to curry favor and secure their positions in the shifting landscape. Chapter 1906. Split together. Qiao Xian had always been averse to accepting benefits without reciprocation, and she saw no reason to make exceptions now, especially outside of the New Year season. Despite her warm reception of visitors, she made it clear that any gifts should be returned upon departure. Moreover, she subtly hinted that if anyone had concerns or needs, they should speak openly, as she was adept at finding solutions. In An's province, the enforcement of ancient laws was more flexible, often allowing transgressions to be absolved with monetary compensation. Given the complex circumstances, it was impractical to severely punish every family with ties to the mountain bandits, as it would only sow chaos. Though some visitors hesitated to believe Qiao Xian's implicit offer, they recognized her reputation for integrity and knew better than to attempt to sway her with bribes. Certain women perceived the prefect's wife as forthright and trustworthy, thus they confided in her about their desires. Their requests were modest. They simply sought priority access to the meat soup. Qiao Xian finally grasped the underlying motivation behind the visitor's enthusiasm, unsure whether to laugh or sigh. Despite the Fan family's forfeiture of their farms and properties, Qiao Xian had no intention of laying claim to them. How could she pass up such a lucrative opportunity to acquire them? However, she wasn't interested in obtaining them for free. Instead, she resolved to purchase them at fair market value, ensuring the government didn't incur any losses. While she could feasibly acquire all the assets and fields relinquished by the Fan family, indulging to such excess wasn't prudent. With inquiries pouring in, Qiao Xian explained her intentions without hesitation. It seemed prudent to clarify matters to dispel any misconceptions. With a smile, Qiao Xian elucidated her stance to the assembled crowd. She wasn't reserving the spoils solely for her benefit. Rather, she aimed to benefit An's province as a whole. Delighted, the attendees began to strategize, preparing to acquire the properties when the opportunity arose. Despite some lingering skepticism, Qiao Xian opted not to elaborate further, confident in her decision. Some individuals, perhaps overestimating their rapport with Qiao Xian, attempted to broach the subject of potential purchases, hoping to secure deals in advance. Qiao Xian remained unmoved by their overtures. She couldn't afford to make any promises, nor did she entertain the notion. It was clear to her that when the government organized the auction, she would rightfully have the first choice. While her husband had hinted at the legality of leveraging their position for personal gain, she intended to adhere strictly to market prices. Following her selection, other buyers would have their chance, unless they had struck clandestine deals with the government beforehand. Yet, Xiao Yunduan showed no inclination towards such arrangements. The Fan clan had paid dearly for their misdeeds. Nonetheless, Jia Hemming, the scribes, the officers, and the city's populace viewed Lord Xiao with reverence, considering him a benevolent figure, particularly in his treatment of the Fan family. The path of banditry was one fraught with irreversible consequences, leaving little room for redemption. Chapter 1907. The Fan family has completely declined even if they sought redemption by forsaking their illicit activities and embracing a lawful path. The toll they would pay was bound to be steep. Simply relinquishing more than half of their assets wouldn't absolve them of their crimes. Confiscating all of their assets would be considered a lenient punishment. In graver cases, exile was the consequence, with their descendants barred from participating in civil service examinations for 5 generations, effectively precluding their eligibility for official positions in the dynasty. Given the unique circumstances of An's province, Xiao Yunduan was not inclined to show mercy. For the Fan family, this ordeal was nothing short of a complete defeat. Among the 22 confiscated shops were prime locations that generated substantial income for the clan annually. Their loss not only deprived the Fan clan of significant sustainable wealth but also necessitated the dismissal of shopkeepers and workers. Many of these employees had been painstakingly nurtured by the Fan family over the years. Dismissing them now would make it challenging for the Fan family to resume business operations in the future. Yet, retaining them would require a considerable financial commitment. However, few shopkeepers were willing to remain under such conditions. Staying idle would disconnect them from the industry, making it difficult to re-enter in the future. Unless the proprietor was willing to offer an irresistible sum, which the Fan clan obviously couldn't afford, the situation seemed untenable. Yet, the loss of the shops and the hefty sum of 300,000 taels of silver paled in comparison to the gravest loss: the forfeiture of 150,000 mu of prime farmland. This land was the bedrock of the Fan clan's prosperity, its very essence. With this significant loss, the Fan family ceased to be the formidable force it once was. The fertile land was highly coveted in An's province, but not everyone could afford it. The Fan clan's extensive holdings were now beyond their reach. The anguish was too much for old Lady Fan to bear, leading to her collapse. This land had been entrusted to her by her ancestors, only to slip through her fingers in the end. The first and second Old Master Fan showed little concern, delegating the task of tending to Old Lady Fan and managing the aftermath to their wives and Fan Ruyan. The immediate priority was to address the aftermath swiftly and allow the Fan family to retreat into seclusion, nursing their wounds in private. The news of the Fan family's betrayal of the mountain bandits had already spread far and wide. Despite the mountain bandits' limited access to the city, it was only a matter of time before they learned of the treachery. Their animosity towards the Fan family ran deep, and there was no telling if they would seek revenge. Now, the entire Fan family yearned to pray fervently, hoping that the authorities would swiftly eradicate the Min family tribe and Liuhe fort. Only by eliminating the mountain bandits could they hope for peace. In the midst of this turmoil, Fan Ruyan reproached the first Old Master Fan for his impulsiveness. What if Lord Xiao lacked the means to defeat the mountain bandits? The Fan family would suffer the consequences. In hindsight, the Fan clan could have waited and assessed the situation before taking action. Perhaps they could have avoided such a catastrophic loss. The first Old Master Fan seethed with frustration, harboring a desire to reprimand his sister and dissolve the family. Though he chose not to engage in argument with the clueless Fan Ruyan, the second Old Master Fan could no longer contain his disdain. He sneered and retorted, "Why didn't you consider the consequences before blaming elder brother? If not for you, our family wouldn't be in this mess." Chapter 1908. Chaos. The true culprit has never been elder brother. Both elder brother and I have forgiven you, yet you still insist on blaming him. And if those nefarious individuals remain in our midst, can you guarantee they won't cause trouble? Can you assure us you can handle them? I fear you wouldn't even survive the current ordeal, let alone any future ones. Furthermore, if it weren't for the noble act of exposing our wrongdoing, our future would have been bleak indeed. We'd be doomed beyond redemption. Those mountain bandits wouldn't spare us even if they escaped. They'd cling to us like a malignant growth, tormenting our Fan family endlessly. No secret can remain hidden forever. Sooner or later, the authorities will uncover the truth. And when they do, neither the mountain bandits nor the Fan family will escape unscathed. Since you invited the danger into our home, the only path to peace and salvation for our Fan family is through repentance. Do you grasp that? Even if we face consequences from the government, at worst, we'll have to leave our hometown and abandon An's province. We still possess some assets. We won't perish, but we could lead comfortable lives. But if we continue associating with those mountain bandits and seeking their aid, they'll surely be our undoing sooner or later. And who brought all of this upon us? Yet you still have the audacity to blame elder brother. Fan Ruyan found herself unable to prevail against him. Frustrated and angry, she burst into tears, feeling unfairly criticized and unappreciated. She insisted that she acted in the best interests of the Fan family. As her tears flowed, she recounted how she had been mistreated by her brothers when their mother was ill. Determined to confide in her mother, Fan Ruyan's resolve wavered momentarily. However, First Old Master Fan erupted in fury, warning her sternly, "Mother is already ill. If you have any conscience left, do not upset her further. If you dare to provoke her again, I will not spare you. You can try me." Fan Ruyan trembled with anger but ultimately relented under First Old Master Fan's stern gaze, refraining from any rash actions. The Fan family, like a timid and fearful chicken, withdrew into themselves, living in perpetual anxiety. Scribe Guan and Mrs. Guan also suffered, haunted by the fear of retaliation from the Min family tribe or Liuhe Fort. While Xiao Yunduan was aware of their transgressions, he chose not to address them yet, biding his time. With the evidence he possessed, Xiao Yunduan could apprehend Scribe Guan at any moment. He had kept him under surveillance, waiting to see if any bandits would come looking for him, providing an opportunity to apprehend them as well. If Scribe Guan displayed the same decisiveness as First Old Master Fan and confessed to Xiao Yunduan, he might secure a chance to evade imprisonment. However, he would still face fines and be barred from serving as a scribe, but at least he wouldn't be incarcerated. Regrettably, Scribe Guan lacked such resolve. He clung to a glimmer of hope and instructed Mrs. Guan to frequent Xiao Xian's presence, hoping to glean information. If anyone approached the mountain, he could relay the news. However, Mrs. Guan found herself unable to maintain her air of superiority. She wished to forge a friendship with Xiao Xian, foreseeing potential benefits in times of trouble. Despite their well-laid plans, Xiao Xian was uncooperative. Mrs. Guan couldn't even gain access to the back office. Chapter 1909. Terror. Xiao Xian curtly informed Mrs. Guan that she was occupied and unavailable to receive her. Mrs. Guan, accustomed to using such excuses herself, found herself on the receiving end this time. The tables had turned, and it was now Xiao Xian's turn to dismiss her. Enraged by Xiao Xian's perceived arrogance, Mrs. Guan hurled insults, accusing her of haughtiness and aloofness. Despite her frustration, Mrs. Guan continued to feign hospitality towards her fellow disciples, maintaining a facade of amiability. However, despite multiple attempts, she was unable to gain entry. Xiao Xian had no intention of meeting her at present. She aimed to exacerbate the guilt of those with troubled consciences. Mrs. Guan grew increasingly apprehensive, fearing that Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were privy to damning information, hence Xiao Xian's refusal to entertain her. The couple deliberated behind closed doors but failed to devise a solution. Although Scribe Guan continued to perform his duties as a scribe, he was barred from many areas and activities. Fearful of arousing suspicion, he refrained from making inquiries. Gritting his teeth, Scribe Guan realized that Lord Xiao harbored genuine suspicions against him. With no alternative, he resolved to take a gamble. That afternoon, Scribe Guan donned a disguise and slipped out of the city unnoticed. Just 2 days after the Fan family received their compensation, preparations were nearly complete. Xiao Yunduan instructed Jia Heming to seek reinforcements from General Huaishi. The swift eradication of the Tiger Head tribe had caught the bandits off guard, but now, with the Min family tribe and Liuhe Fort likely joining forces, heightened vigilance was imperative. Even Hang Xingshan couldn't ascertain the adversary's true strength, having never had the opportunity to scout their stronghold. Uncertainty loomed over the presence of undisclosed trump cards. Xiao Yunduan couldn't afford to gamble. A miscalculation would lead not just to failure but to numerous casualties. Upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's plea, Jia Heming readily pledged his support. General Huaishi, commanding a force of 20,000 men responsible for Huaishi Prefecture's security, was duty-bound to combat banditry. Were it not for the formidable nature of the An's province bandits, He would have intervened earlier. There was no reason for General Huaishi to refuse Xiao Yunduan's offer. Even if it was solely for the sake of 100,000 taels of silver, he would undoubtedly accept the mission. The meager salary provided by the imperial court hardly covered expenses for equipping the army with necessary supplies, weapons, or additional horses. Year after year he submitted memorials, yet progress felt as sluggish as a clay ox trudging through the sea. With 100,000 taels of silver at his disposal, there would be no such worries. Jia Heming wasted no time in action. 300,000 taels of silver swiftly changed hands, with 1/3 dissipating before it could even warm up. Xiao Yunduan calculated that half of the remaining 200,000 taels would be allocated to the magistrate, leaving 100,000 taels in the court's coffers. Additionally, the proceeds from the auction of the Fan family's farmland would be sufficient to reward everyone and devise a strategic plan. Oh, and there was also the matter of the Yamen owing his wife hundreds of thousands in silver. Repayment would have to be made gradually. The Min family tribe and Liuhe fort swiftly mobilized. They had little choice but to act swiftly, for caution mattered little now. With Xiao Yunduan having obliterated the Tiger Head tribe, they knew he wouldn't let them off the hook. Chapter 1910. Foreign aid. After dealing with the aftermath of destroying the Tiger Head tribe, it was inevitable that Xiao Yunduan would set his sights on them next. This had escalated into a fight to the death. There could be no resolution until one side emerged victorious. Even if they professed to forego vengeance, the prefect would never trust their words nor rest easy. In that case, why grant the wretched official ample time to prepare? Why not seize the initiative as he had done previously, catching him off guard? This time, they resolved to strike first, targeting the key figures: the prince, the king, and the monarch. They would mobilize their finest warriors and storm An's prefecture city, assaulting the prefect's office. They would exterminate the official's family, plunder the treasury, and unleash havoc upon the city. Then, before the imperial court could react, they would vanish into the mountains. They understood well that if this operation succeeded, it would send shockwaves through An's province and Huaishi prefecture, and even reverberate to the imperial court. An attack on the court's offices, the slaughter of its officials, and the plundering of its warehouses would surely compel the court to respond with military force, if only to save face. The uproar this time would surely surpass that of 10 years ago. But this dogged official was formidable. Even catching him unawares would demand a hefty toll. Such an endeavor would significantly deplete their strength. How could they then withstand the might of the imperial court's army? To evade trouble, fleeing the village was inevitable. An's province was intertwined with boundless mountains. Once they delved into the depths, no matter how many troops the imperial court dispatched, it would be akin to scattering beans into the mountains. Feudal. They were accustomed to mountain life. With their numbers, they had no need to fear the wilderness beasts and venomous creatures. In 2 or 3 years, this affair would be resolved and fade from the imperial court's memory. Then why couldn't they return? The pitiful remnants of the Min family tribe and Liuhe fort's leaders looked worse for wear. Suppressing their anger, fear, and uneasy emotions they would never confess they suddenly cast caution aside and resolved to fight to the death. They were a band of outlaws from the start. What did they have to fear? The sight of blood only fueled their excitement. Thus, the two factions collaborated closely, handpicking a force of 400. After 2 days of meticulous preparation, they set out from the mountains under the cover of night. Utilizing the darkness and rugged terrain to their advantage, they arrived outside An's prefecture city in the dead of night. The vanguard, clad in dark garments, approached the city gate with aggressive agility. Their eyes gleamed with wild fervor, reminiscent of wolves and tigers. They eagerly awaited the signal to storm the city, brandishing their weapons in anticipation of exacting vengeance and sending the dogged official's family to their demise. As the agreed time arrived, a low, prearranged bird call rang out. With a creak, the city gate slowly swung open. Upon reaching a sufficient gap, the bandits roared triumphantly, wielding an array of weapons as they surged forward with murderous intent. Meanwhile, their accomplices lying in wait in the nearby forest, 2 to 3 miles away, heard the clamor and surged forth to join the fray. Chapter 1911. Final battle. To their dismay, as they surged through the city gate, they watched in horror as it began to slowly close once more. The front ranks froze, their eyes widening in disbelief as they stumbled to a halt. Behind them, the momentum of those charging forward caused a chaotic collision, nearly knocking them off their feet. Amidst the confusion, cries of pain and confusion filled the air. Before they could grasp the situation, a barrage of arrows whistled through the air like a swarm of locusts, sending the bandits into a frenzy of panic. In the blink of an eye, flames erupted from all directions, and the heavens reverberated with the thunderous clamor of approaching soldiers. Over 2,000 bailiffs and soldiers descended upon the hapless bandits with relentless ferocity, catching them off guard and sealing their fate. It was a slaughter, utterly one-sided. The mountain bandits screamed, cursed, and wailed in despair, their frantic attempts at escape resembling headless flies darting aimlessly. But there was no escape from the relentless onslaught closing in around them. The encirclement tightened, gradually closing in on the mountain bandits until none remained, including their leaders and most steadfast members. It had been ages since the soldiers had tasted such a decisive victory, and their jubilant cheers echoed across the battlefield. Meanwhile, the elite bandits who had entered the city earlier met a similar fate, swiftly dispatched by the waiting bailiffs and soldiers lying in ambush. Not a single one managed to escape. The individual who had facilitated their entry into the city wasn't Scribe Guan, who had initially colluded with them. By this time, Scribe Guan and his wife found themselves incarcerated in the prison. With the battle won, over 100 soldiers remained behind to clean up the aftermath, while the rest swiftly regrouped and set off towards Liuhe Fort and Min family tribe, their resolve unwavering. Over 200 sets of clothing were stripped from the fallen bandits, quickly donned by the soldiers who adopted their guise to march at the forefront of the advancing column, their determination evident in their demeanor. Once in the mountains, they divided into 2 groups, each headed towards Min family tribe and Liuhe Fort respectively. Jia Heming's visit to General Huaishi went smoothly, thanks to Xiao Yunduan's generous funds. Jia Heming promptly handed over 50,000 taels of silver, leaving Qin Wuyo and the other generals beaming with delight and heaping praise on Lord Xiao's generosity. They extolled his virtues, hailing him as a true exemplar, demonstrating that even a scholar could possess such courage, swiftly dealing with the bandits without hesitation. It put their own reluctance to send troops to shame. Qin Wuyo wasted no time in mobilizing his troops, leading a force of 3,000 elite soldiers as per Xiao Yunduan's instructions. They approached An's city stealthily, taking advantage of the dense forest cover that shrouded the region. Their presence remained undetected, concealed within the secluded valleys and thickets of the An's province hinterlands. Only a select few, including Xiao Yunduan, were privy to this plan. The sudden shout caught most of the bailiffs off guard. Meanwhile, as the battle raged outside An's prefecture city, the 2,000 soldiers had divided into 2 groups and stealthily positioned themselves near Liuhe Fort and Min family tribe. They rendezvoused with the reinforcements that were rapidly approaching. With dawn breaking on the horizon, their presence was barely discernible. Chapter 1912. Extermination. At that moment, with about an hour left until clarity dawned, vigilance was at its lowest. Soldiers donning counterfeit attire and brandishing weapons easily breached the mountain stronghold's doors. As the skirmish erupted, those left behind began to realize the dire situation. However, it was already too late. With superior numbers and unwavering morale, the soldiers swiftly overwhelmed the intermediate mountain bandits, who were accustomed to preying on the weak. Having suffered consecutive setbacks and diminished strength, panic and apprehension consumed them. In the face of a formidable foe, they trembled in fear, some even losing control of their bladders and crying out for their parents as they fled in every direction to preserve their lives. As the sun climbed higher, its rays piercing through the forest canopy, the birds began their morning rituals, chirping and soaring into the sky. The battle between the 2 villages came to a decisive conclusion, with the light of day illuminating the aftermath. The soldiers emerged victorious. After more than a decade, the malignant presence in An's province had been eradicated completely. Throughout the city, jubilation erupted, and word spread like wildfire. Lord Xiao's name commanded utmost respect. It was his efforts that had bestowed peace upon their lives, banishing the specter of marauding bandits. Families, particularly those with young daughters, no longer harbored the same fears. No longer did they hesitate to let their 7- or 8-year-olds venture outdoors, for the threat of abduction had been vanquished. With the dust settled, the aftermath unfolded, intricate and demanding. Each bandit, along with Scribe Guan and his cohorts, faced severe retribution, whether by the sword or by exile. None could evade justice. Fortunately, with the invaluable assistance of Jia Heming, Xiao Yunduan found a moment of respite. Reflecting on it all, Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but marvel at the competence of his deputy prefect, the governor's right-hand man. Jia Heming navigated through countless bureaucratic hurdles, freeing Xiao Yunduan to focus on matters of greater import. Without him, even a moment's reprieve would have been a luxury beyond reach. Indeed, not only Xiao Yunduan but also the other scribes gaped in astonishment. How had they not realized the extent of Jia Heming's abilities? It seemed that Jia Heming had been hiding his capabilities all along. Xiao Yunduan lacked prior experience as a prefect, and thus had no basis for comparison with other deputy prefects, excluding the extreme case of Deputy Prefect Guan. He knew Jia Heming to be competent, but the revelation of his true abilities left him awestruck. Jia Heming's capabilities far surpassed those of an average individual. In essence, he was the equivalent of 5 ordinary deputy prefects combined. Previously, some had harbored doubts regarding Jia Heming's appointment as deputy prefect. Yet, witnessing his actions dispelled any lingering skepticism. They couldn't help but admire Lord Xiao's discernment in selecting personnel. As everything settled, October came to an end and November began. An's province finally experienced tranquility. Xiao Yunduan initiated discussions about rewards and a celebratory feast. People felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. After toiling tirelessly for so long, it was finally time to unwind and revel in the moment. The banquet unfolded at the state office, with the 2 prominent restaurants in the city fully booked. A plethora of delectable dishes and beverages flowed continuously. Xiao Yunduan led hundreds of government officials in merry revelry, indulging from noon until late into the night. Meanwhile, Qiao Xian arranged a separate banquet in the back garden, extending invitations to all the officials' wives. Both inside and outside, the atmosphere brimmed with jubilation. Chapter 1913, Managing Aftermath. Everyone exuded energy and excitement, their hearts aglow with warmth and confidence. With Lord Xiao, the prefect, at their side, worries about the future dissipated. They knew they had made the right choice in following him. A promising future lay ahead, infusing everyone with vitality as they embarked on what promised to be a splendid day. Gone were the days of confusion and aimlessness. With each toast raised in honor of Lord Xiao, admiration swelled as it became evident that he remained sober despite the revelry. His remarkable tolerance for alcohol only served to deepen the respect everyone held for him. Lord Xiao's prowess, evident in his defeat of the mountain bandits, elevated him to the status of idol among countless bailiffs and constables. The following day, Xiao Yunduan unveiled the reward list he had collaborated on with Jia Heming and others, ensuring that everyone received their due recognition. Even the most ordinary of bailiffs received a reward of 10 taels of silver each, while Jia Heming, Hang Xingshan, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, Zheng Sang, and others were granted the highest amount, €, 500 taels each. Various increments of 200, 100, 50, and 20 taels were distributed among the remaining recipients. The rewards were deemed exceptionally fair and just, leaving no room for dissatisfaction. Each recipient eagerly lined up to claim their silver reward, their faces illuminated with joy. Qiao Xian, in a gesture of goodwill, also distributed rewards to those at the back of the court, though modest in comparison, simply to share in the joy and excitement. Jia Heming and his wife were overwhelmed with happiness and gratitude. When Jia Heming returned home bearing a bounty of banknotes, Mrs. Jia could scarcely believe her eyes, her smile uncontainable. Anticipating a more modest reward, Mrs. Jia had already envisioned how to allocate 10, 20, or 30 taels. However, receiving 500 taels of silver left her at a loss for how to manage such unexpected wealth. Both Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao, known for their benevolence, refused any compensation for their efforts. Their altruism only strengthened the resolve of Jia Heming and his wife to stand by them, assured that following their lead would only enrich their lives further. Following the rewards, the assets of the Fan family and the spoils obtained from the 3 villages commenced auction proceedings. The mountain bandits lived a rugged existence, showing little regard for conventions. They eschewed productive endeavors, relying instead on coercion to obtain what they needed from affluent families. Failure to comply meant their goods would be forcibly taken. Consequently, their stockpile atop the mountain was meager. Moreover, during the breach of their stronghold, opportunistic allies pilfered some of the remaining wealth, further depleting their resources. The spoils, including gold, silver, food, and weaponry, were primarily sourced from the national treasury. Only a scant selection of jewelry, fabric, and a few ornamental items were available for auction. Additionally, a handful of houses clandestinely acquired at the mountain's base were put up for sale, though their association with the bandits rendered them undesirable to wealthier buyers. Ultimately, these items fetched relatively low prices. Jia Heming, unencumbered by such concerns, purchased a 3-acre courtyard situated in a somewhat secluded area within An's prefecture's intermediate city for a mere 100 taels of silver. Xiao Xian, mindful of her status as the prefect's wife, refrained from making a purchase, despite the attractive prices. Nevertheless, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of regret at passing up such a bargain. Even the residence of Scribe Guan found its way to the auction block. Chapter 1914. Purchase. Following this, all eyes turned to the Fan clan as their assets were up for grabs. Without hesitation, Xiao Xian stepped forward to make her selection. Despite her position, Xiao Xian demonstrated modesty in her requests. She opted for 60,000 mu of fertile land and 5 ordinary yet promising shops, all at fair market prices. Given An's province's scarcity of arable land, particularly fertile plots, prices exceeded those of neighboring regions. Xiao Xian selected prime parcels priced at 10 taels of silver per mu, totaling 60,000 taels of silver. Additionally, the 5 shops amounted to another 6,000 taels. However, considering the government's outstanding debt of 500,000 taels to Xiao Xian, she opted to offset the purchase with this owed sum, without needing to expend a single tael of her own. Even after deducting the 66,000 taels for her purchases, the government still remained indebted to her by over 400,000 taels. Xiao Yunduan took responsibility for reimbursing this remainder, leaving him indebted to her for 400,000 taels. These transactions were conducted transparently, with both the government office and local populace acknowledging the legitimacy of the arrangement. Despite acquiring substantial assets from the Fan clan, Xiao Xian's generosity was evident as she chose to share her newfound wealth with the community. In addition to the land and shops, numerous rare antiques from the Fan clan were also put up for auction. The esteemed families eligible for participation in the auction had already convened in private to strategize, fostering a congenial atmosphere throughout the proceedings. As a result, nearly everyone secured their desired acquisitions, leaving them thoroughly content. With this milestone, the entirety of An's prefecture city finally achieved a state of complete safety. Seizing the opportunity, Xiao Yunduan took a well-deserved 3-day respite to accompany Xiao Xian and Anan on a journey outside the city. The trio explored their own farms, trekked through the mountains, and reveled in the breathtaking scenery, joined by Yi and Sun Bai. However, despite the break, exhaustion still lingered among the group, denying them proper rest. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Zheng Sang, sensing a need for additional manpower, conferred with Hang Xingshan, a local resident, and brought their concerns to Xiao Yunduan. Together, they issued a notice to recruit officers meeting specific criteria, aiming to bolster their ranks by approximately 50 individuals. Their collective resolve was clear. Alongside the current bailiffs, rigorous training was imperative. In An's province, the specter of banditry persisted, exacerbated by the region's strategic location. Should fugitives seek refuge here in the future, a robust force would be required to apprehend them. The necessity for ample manpower was evident. Reviewing the accounts, Xiao Yunduan felt confident in shouldering the responsibility and thus gave his approval. It was common knowledge that positions within the government office were highly sought after, with young and capable individuals eagerly vying for selection. The atmosphere in An's province city became vibrant and bustling as a result. While new recruits were being chosen, the existing bailiffs remained active. Despite the successful dismantling of the Min family tribe, Liuhe Fort, and Tiger Head tribe, Xiao Yunduan recognized that more needed to be done. He issued orders for a thorough search of the 3 villages, commanding the destruction of all structures, including basements, sentry posts, fortresses, and passes, ideally reducing them to rubble. In essence, the objective was the complete eradication of these 3 locations. The prospect of any resurgence in the future was utterly eliminated. Xiao Xian's curiosity got the better of her, prompting her persistent requests for Xiao Yunduan's approval to join the expedition. Initially resistant, Xiao Yunduan dismissed her requests, labeling them as mere whims. After all, what allure could a mountain bandit village possibly hold? He chided his increasingly obstinate wife. However, his resistance proved short-lived. Within a mere 2 days, Xiao Yunduan relented, swayed by Xiao Xian's gentle persuasion. Chapter 1915. Going to Liuhe Fort, Xiao Yunduan found himself swayed when Xiao Xian appeared in her light riding outfit, a realization dawning upon him. From then on, he knew that resisting his wife's requests would be futile. Ultimately, he resolved to indulge her desires, though not without attempting to negotiate for better terms. After all, bargaining often yielded unexpected benefits. In the end, everyone was content, and Xiao Yunduan found joy in his wife's happiness. As for Anan, despite his lively demeanor, he was still too young to accompany them on their mountain excursion. Xiao Xian entrusted the care of their son to the nanny, Kaiyun, and Kaiming before departing the city with Xiao Yunduan and their companions. Disguised and traveling by carriage until they reached impassable terrain, the group was prepared to proceed on foot when necessary. They were en route to Liuhe Fort, situated a considerable distance from An's prefecture city. Setting off at dawn, they traveled swiftly in light carriages, covering the distance in a mere 4 hours. Disembarking from the carriages, they proceeded on foot for over half an hour, arriving at Liuhe Fort around noon. Of the 3 strongholds, Liuhe Fort was the closest to An's prefecture city, with the other 2 being more remote. Upon their arrival, the fort bustled with various demolition activities. Spotting Lord Xiao, the workers paused their tasks to greet him, only to be encouraged by Xiao Yunduan to continue their efforts. Xiao Xian, brimming with curiosity, felt invigorated rather than fatigued. She accepted the water offered by Xiao Yunduan and, tugging at his sleeve, suggested, "Husband, let's explore together. This place seems vast and flat." Xiao Yunduan, unable to resist his wife's enthusiasm, smiled helplessly. "Since you're so keen, let's take a stroll." Over the years, Liuhe Fort had expanded significantly, occupying extensive flat terrain. Recognizing the impracticality of relying solely on mountain-foraged resources, the bandits had cultivated vegetable gardens. A valley lay at the foot of the front mountain, while a wide stream ran behind it. In the distance, a picturesque white waterfall caught their gaze. Gazing into the distance, Xiao Xian marveled at the lush green mountains and winding rivers, captivated by the picturesque scenery. What intrigued her most was the mountainous terrain, characterized by steep peaks and vast valleys at their feet, an ideal landscape for expansion. Despite the current inconvenience of transportation, Xiao Xian saw potential in repairing the roads. While the mountain paths were challenging to traverse, the proximity to the nearby village suggested that with improved infrastructure, travel time could be significantly reduced. Inspired by her surroundings, Xiao Xian activated her superpower, surveying the area with satisfaction. Aware that their time was limited, they departed after a brief half-hour stay, returning to the village and boarding the waiting carriage back to the city. As they journeyed home, Xiao Yunduan embraced Xiao Xian, planting a kiss on her cheek and inquiring, "Are you tired?" Xianxia shook her head, a smile gracing her lips. The scenery is splendid. I truly enjoy being here. Xiao Yunduan chuckled. Now that things have settled down, how about we go hunting in the mountains together? Chapter 1916. Taking a fancy, really? Of course. That is great. Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled. You know what I like the most? Longing to explore the forests of An's province for potential resources and treasures had been a persistent desire for Xiao Xian. However, the presence of bandits had stifled any chance of realizing this dream, leaving her to merely fantasize about it. Now, as the opportunity to fulfill her aspirations approached, joy filled her heart. With the sky darkening early, they hastened their journey, returning to An's prefecture city under the cover of night. Their bodies ached, weary from the arduous trek. The challenging terrain necessitated a swift pace. Lingering on the road held the uncertainty of when they might safely return. Alighting from the wagon, Xiao Xian sighed in relief, her waist sore from the journey. The urgent need for road repairs was evident. The maids breathed a collective sigh of relief upon seeing their return, while Anan, eager for his mother's embrace, reached out from the nanny's arms. Xiao Xian, consumed with thoughts of her son throughout the day, disregarded her fatigue as she gathered Anan into her arms, showering him with kisses and affectionate rubs. His laughter filled the air as he blinked his big, beautiful eyes and babbled contentedly. The nanny smiled warmly and remarked, "Indeed, young master has been eagerly searching for you all day." The maidservants nodded in agreement, recalling the commotion caused by Anan's longing for his mother throughout the day. Xiao Xian chuckled, understanding the reason behind the nanny's earlier gleaming eyes. It was undoubtedly due to her beloved son. Xiao Yunduan gently took Anan from Xiao Xian's arms, offering to carry him himself. However, Anan adamantly refused, clinging tightly to his mother's neck and shaking his head vigorously. It was a scene that elicited laughter from everyone present. Xiao Xian, with a smile, insisted, "He's still so young. Let me hold him." Xiao Yunduan laughed along, shaking his head in amusement before leading his wife and son into the house. The family spent some quality time together, playing until Anan eventually drifted off to sleep after nursing. With his eyes closed, his delicate features appeared even more pronounced, peacefully highlighting his exhaustion from the day's travels. The nanny carefully escorted Anan away, leaving Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan to dine together. During dinner, Xiao Xian shared her plans for Liuhe Fort with Xiao Yunduan. The fertile surroundings presented ample opportunities for development. She proposed constructing a villa in place of the former fort, effectively eradicating any remnants of the bandits. Reflecting on the terrain around Liuhe Fort, Xiao Yunduan smiled and nodded in agreement. "If that's what you desire, then it's settled. It's better than leaving it unused." "Deal!" Xiao Xian exclaimed joyfully. "It's an opportunity for farming and we're all free. I can hire additional help to increase our family's income." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart. With a smile, he affirmed, "Wife, go ahead and make the arrangements." Chapter 1917. Planning to farm. Xiao Xian's enthusiasm was palpable. With the eradication of the bandits, she now had the freedom to pursue her interests across the vast expanse of An's province. After a night of intimacy, Xiao Xian radiated with energy the next day. She gathered Songshi, Lu Fu, Mian Mian, and others to discuss their plans. With ample funds available for hiring labor, and with Songshi and the others possessing experience in managing wasteland, the previously neglected mountains were ready to be reclaimed. Songshi, in particular, was invigorated by the prospect of a new endeavor. Mian Mian and Lu Fu shared in her excitement, eager to embark on this venture. Xiao Xian's preliminary plan involved dedicating much of the land in Liuhe Fort to cultivating various herbs. After assessing the area, she identified suitable spots for planting Gastrodia elata, false starworts, King Solomon seal, Tian Chi, Dangay, and white needle. Additionally, scattered fruit trees were to be planted throughout the medicinal herb fields, providing not only fruits but also shade. Furthermore, plans were made for a chicken farm within the mountain forest and Liuhe Fort. To maintain hygiene, the chicken farm would undergo a yearly rotation, 1 year for raising chickens, followed by a year of rest, during which the chickens would be relocated to a different site. This rotation ensured cleanliness and minimized the risk of disease outbreaks, a particularly crucial consideration given the potential for bacteria buildup in the chicken farm over time. Fortunately, the expansive mountain provided ample space to address these concerns. During this era, dealing with a chicken plague meant witnessing the chickens succumb one by one, with no effective solution in sight. Xiaoxian acknowledged her limited knowledge on the matter but understood the necessity of maintaining cleanliness and hygiene. She knew that providing clean food and water, along with ensuring spacious and clean living quarters for the chickens, were crucial. Additionally, during hot weather, she planned to use wormwood to smoke and disinfect the surroundings, while also providing herbal-infused water for the chickens to drink. Although she had heard of indigenous methods, such as using cactus to prevent chicken plague, she intended to explore this further and locate cactus plants for experimentation. Adjacent to the valley, a stream provided an ideal location for raising ducks. They dug several wide ponds along the stream and created numerous ditches with twists and turns. Water plants were planted, and ducks were introduced, with the area divided into sections for rotation. This ensured that the water source remained intact and allowed for adequate recovery time. If possible, he could even make a medium-sized pond to plant lotus roots and raise fish. Just thinking about it was beautiful. At Liuhe Fort, plans were underway to construct a villa, with additional villas slated for construction at the mountain's base. The decision stemmed from the challenging mountain terrain, particularly the arduous path leading to the summit. Building solely on the mountain would necessitate transporting various supplies, such as warehouses and farm tools, up and down, posing logistical challenges. Therefore, establishing villas at the mountain's foothills would streamline operations and facilitate easier access for province-wide activities. However, the foremost priority remained road repair. During their exploration, efforts would be directed towards road construction. While not optimal, a passable road would enable carriages to traverse in opposite directions, enhancing transport efficiency. In the future, relying solely on manpower for transportation would prove inefficient, necessitating the use of carriages to ferry goods into the mountains. Chapter 1918. Opening the road. Originally, there existed a path into the mountains, but certain areas featured steep slopes, rendering carriage travel inconvenient. Consequently, the route required detours and modifications. Xiao Xian's description left Xianxia and the others visibly envious, eagerly anticipating exploring the promising location. Just hearing your description fills me with anticipation. It must be an extraordinary place, remarked one. Absolutely. Let's thoroughly assess it and swiftly devise a plan, chimed in another. I can already envision the beauty it will possess with Madame's guidance. Our Madame truly possesses remarkable insight. Euro with a chuckle, Xiao Xian cautioned, proceed with caution and pay attention to the finer details. This undertaking is significant, particularly regarding road construction. We must meticulously select the most suitable route. Agreeing, Xianxia and the others descended to deliberate further. A week later, they commenced recruitment efforts. Wasteland reclamation, house construction, and road development became the focus of their endeavors. Lu Fu, Xianxia, and Yang Mu assumed leadership roles, while Mian oversaw financial matters and procurement of materials. Acquiring such a vast expanse entailed substantial expenditure. The entirety of Liuhe Fort's mountain, along with the vast surrounding areas encompassing the foothills, forest, and adjacent valley, totaled more than 100,000 mu in size. Although the hill may not have appeared particularly large, it was far from small. Xiao Xian envisioned another ambitious undertaking. Even if a single mu of wasteland was valued at just 3 taels of silver, the total cost would amount to 300,000 taels of silver. Yet, the government owed Xiao Xian only 100,000 taels of silver. Contemplating the pace at which she would need to cover the expenses, Xiao Xian realized it would likely take several years to complete the payment. The staggering sum of 300,000 taels left everyone speechless. Questions arose regarding the wealth of their Lord Prefect. How much money did he possess to afford such endeavors for his wife? As for Madame, She displayed little interest in extravagant flowers or jewelry but possessed a keen passion for exploration and agriculture. Investing tens or even hundreds of thousands was not uncommon. Even esteemed families like the Hua and Mei clans would hesitate to spend such amounts. Moreover, the 300,000 taels were solely allocated for land acquisition. The prospect of land reclamation and road repair only added to the significant expenses ahead. Although the government was expected to subsidize road construction for the benefit of all, Xiao Xian believed it unnecessary. As the prefect's wife, Xiao Yunduan was cautious about being perceived as taking undue advantage, mindful of potential gossip. However, Xiao Xian was willing and able to fund the project herself. She was transparent about her intentions, openly discussing plans to cultivate herbs, establish a chicken farm on the mountain, and raise ducks in the valley once the land was opened. Initially modest in scale, the endeavor aimed to accommodate around 5,000 to 6,000 chickens and ducks. Xiao Xian invited anyone interested in planting medicinal herbs or raising poultry on a small scale to seek guidance and assistance from her. Furthermore, she offered to purchase medicinal herbs and accept any surplus chickens and ducks for sale, provided they met quality standards. In Xiao Xian's view, pursuing agricultural endeavors such as growing herbs, mushrooms, and other high-value crops offered commoners a path to prosperity superior to traditional farming. Chapter 1919. Understanding person. However, Xiao Xian made it clear that participation was entirely voluntary. Despite her position as the prefect's wife and Xiao Yunduan's status as the prefect, they refrained from coercing civilians into joining her endeavors. While she initially anticipated skepticism from many, she knew that once a few families experienced success, others would likely follow suit. With An's province secured, Xiao Yunduan sent letters to both his family and Yuezhing Xiao. Yuezhing Xiao intended to extend his congratulations but was preoccupied with year-end matters and couldn't make it. Meanwhile, Zhao Shu returned to Xiaoding village. With no elders in his family to answer to, he could stay in Xiaoding village for as long as he pleased. Though engaged to Tao Tao, staying in her house was now deemed inappropriate. Instead, arrangements were made for him to stay with the land officer's family at night. Recognizing the potential for gossip and the importance of safeguarding Tao Tao's reputation, it was decided that they would not reside together under the same roof, despite their innocence. There was no need for explanation. Zhao Shu's arrangement to reside in the land officer's house proved highly convenient and spared him from potential trouble. The land officer's family, esteemed and respected in the community, readily welcomed Zhao Shu into their home. Delighted by the unexpected good fortune, they treated him with warmth and hospitality, assigning him the best room in the house. Grateful for their hospitality, Zhao Shu took it upon himself to refurbish his living quarters, investing in new furniture and even enhancing the courtyard with flat green bricks to alleviate mud issues during rainy weather. Not stopping there, he also upgraded the house's interior, replacing old curtains and rejuvenating the overall appearance. With his generosity extending beyond mere lodging, Zhao Shu frequently treated the land officer's family to various delicacies, further solidifying their bond and earning their admiration. His gracious demeanor, combined with his wealth and humility, endeared him even more to the land officer's family. They considered themselves fortunate to host such a noble and benevolent young master, remarking on Tao Tao's good fortune. However, as news of Zhao Shu's generosity reached the ears of other family members, discontent began to brew among the second and third sections of the Xiao family. The third branch, particularly, felt that Zhao Shu should stay with them instead. After all, their Lu Lang was a scholar, knowledgeable and capable of engaging Zhao Shu in meaningful conversations. Moreover, they emphasized their familial connection, expecting him to choose their household over the land officers. However, Ms. Fang, Zhao Shu's mother-in-law, dismissed their suggestion, expressing concern about potential gossip if Zhao Shu were to move in before marriage. She pointed out that their grandson, Xiaozhi, was still unmarried, and having Zhao Shu reside with them could lead to unwarranted rumors. Ms. Ma, from the third branch, was incensed by Ms. Fang's response. Meanwhile, the second section of the family distanced themselves from the situation, showing little interest or concern. As for the land officer's family, while they had no unmarried daughters, the wife and eldest daughter-in-law's relatives seemed eager to send a girl to stay with them, likely with matchmaking intentions in mind. Chapter 1920. Received the letter. Of course, they didn't dare to openly compete with Tao Tao or scheme against her. But what if Zhao Shu developed feelings for one of their daughters? Even if she became a concubine, the Zhao family's wealth and Zhao Shu's character would ensure she didn't lose out. After all, what wealthy family didn't have multiple wives and concubines? Tao Tao shouldn't be so narrow-minded, right? A village girl could become her right-hand woman and they could amass a fortune together. It had to be better than marrying into other families, right? Although these thoughts crossed their minds, they knew better than to directly challenge Tao. Xiao Wulang was a prominent official. It would be foolish to provoke his family. Luckily, the land officer and his wife were level-headed and promptly rejected their relatives' proposals. They made it clear that no one was welcome to visit, especially with matchmaking intentions. Since Zhao Shu had already arrived as a guest, they couldn't outright refuse him. But his intentions were dubious from the start. Knowing they could rely on the land officer's family, Ms. Fong sought their assistance. When Xiao Yunduan's letter arrived, Zhao Shu was still in the village, planning to stay for the New Year celebrations. He intended to accompany Xiao Sanlang and others to the province to purchase New Year's goods, adding to the festive atmosphere. When Xiao Yunduan's letter arrived, his family members were all displeased. Since Xiao Yunduan hadn't mentioned the mountain bandits in An's province to his family, he didn't disclose the content of the letter. Instead, he simply informed them that he, Xiao Xian, and their son were doing well. They had settled comfortably in An's province, where everything was running smoothly. With spring approaching, he suggested they visit, perhaps coordinating with Yuezhing Xiao for a joint trip. Upon reading this, Zhao Shu inferred that the issue with the mountain bandits had been resolved. Otherwise, Xiao Yunduan wouldn't have extended the invitation. Though somewhat surprised, Zhao Shu wasn't overly so. He wasn't privy to the intricacies of bureaucracy and only knew of An's prefecture's bandits from hearsay. Some claimed they were formidable, even fearsome, but Zhao Shu hadn't experienced it firsthand. For him, hearing of the bandits' demise only deepened his admiration for Xiao Yunduan. To Zhao Shu, his brother-in-law was nothing short of extraordinary hero, an exceptional figure, akin to the once-in-lifetime appearance of a primus. How clever and cunning! It seemed only natural for him to succeed in quelling the bandits. If Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were aware of his thoughts, they would likely just say, "As long as you're happy Euro." Upon hearing that their son and daughter-in-law had settled in the government and could soon visit, Miss Fong and eldest uncle were overjoyed. Xiao Sanlang, Tao Tao, and the others were equally thrilled. They proudly shared the news in the village and made plans to visit at the onset of spring. With the weather turning colder, they could prepare more cured meats, sausages, dried vegetables, and the like to bring along. After all, fifth sister-in-law enjoyed these delicacies. Xiao Sanlang made it a point to visit the third branch and boast to Xiao Lulang deliberately. Xiao Lulang had warned about the bandits in An's province, claiming it wasn't safe. He even persuaded their father to urge fifth brother to resign. How deceitful! But look now, fifth brother had already invited their family to visit. If it wasn't safe, would fifth brother risk his family's safety? Chapter 1921. Wanting to go to An's province, Xiao Lulang's response puzzled Xiao Sanlang, but he paid it no mind. After all, his fifth brother was a trustworthy individual. Unbeknownst to Xiao Lulang, Xiao Yunduan had already eradicated all the bandits in the region. In ancient times, news traveled slowly, and even with interconnected regions, information dissemination was sluggish. Xiao Lulang presumed that Xiao Yunduan was merely boasting, attempting to inflate his own importance by inviting his family. He couldn't fathom the rationale behind such a decision. An's province was perilous, and if the first branch of the family ventured there only to be robbed or kidnapped by bandits, it would be too late for regrets. Vanity, he believed, was a dangerous trait. But if Xiao Yunduan insisted on such actions, then let him face the consequences, Xiao Lulang thought to himself. Although he refrained from offering advice, Xiao Lulang did voice his concerns to his parents. His third uncle and Madame Ma were both garrulous individuals, and they placed great trust in their son's judgment. Naturally, They believed his words to be true. Consequently, gossip began to circulate throughout the village, taking on various forms after undergoing deliberate or unintentional embellishment. Ms. Fong became so exasperated that she resorted to scolding the couple once more. Observing this, Zhao Shu chimed in with a suggestion: "These people are ignorant and spreading baseless rumors. Why don't we take a trip to An's province ourselves and return safely? The journey isn't far, and we can travel leisurely. It shouldn't take more than half a month round trip. What do you say? Fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law must miss us very much too. If we go now, we can give them a surprise." Zhao Shu's suggestion resonated deeply with the first branch of the Xiao family. Xiao Sanlang, in particular, had frequented the provincial city numerous times over the past 2 years due to his involvement in various industries. His interactions with outsiders had broadened his horizons, leaving him eager to explore An's province. After all, it was where his brother held an official position. Enthusiastically, he embraced Zhao Shu's idea and expressed his wholehearted agreement. Tao Tao shared his sentiment. She longed to reunite with her fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law. Ms. Fong harbored a similar desire, yearning to meet her grandson whom she had never seen before. Despite her numerous children and grandchildren, there was a special place in her heart for her son's offspring. However, given the time of year, Ms. Fong was hesitant to embark on such a lengthy journey. She decided to postpone her travels until later, planning to extend her stay in An's province for a few more days before returning in December. With the year drawing to a close, the bustling atmosphere at home was further heightened by the arrival of numerous New Year's gifts and well-wishers. As preparations for the upcoming festivities commenced, there was much to be done. In the absence of Qiao Xian, who was adept at managing such affairs, Ms. Su proved ill-suited for the task, and Yang Xiani's naivety and love for food only exacerbated the situation. Ms. Fong, recognizing the need for someone capable to represent the family, enlisted Zhao Shu to accompany Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni on a trip to An's province to visit Anan on behalf of the family. They would also bring gifts for the occasion, although they had yet to prepare the cured meat. However, they reasoned that it could be brought over after the new year. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were elated at the prospect of the journey, anticipating the culinary delights that awaited them in An's province. With the convenience of traveling in a wagon accompanied by their servants, they looked forward to indulging in the local delicacies unavailable back home. Chapter 1922, Departure. As for Tao Tao, Ms. Fong did not let her go. She and Zhao Shu were not married yet. How could she go? Ms. Fong placed her trust in her daughter and son, as well as in Zhao Shu's judgment. However, she was aware that others might not share the same confidence. In their village, Zhao Shu and Tao Tao could move about freely during the day, with people often accompanying them as they went about their activities. Occasionally, they would steal moments alone together, but as long as they were discreet, it went unnoticed. Their engagement provided a level of social acceptance for their interactions. However, venturing far from home presented a different scenario. It was natural for others to question the innocence of their relationship. Despite their engagement, any perceived impropriety could tarnish Tao Tao's reputation, with potential consequences for her social standing and marital prospects. Ms. Fong delicately conveyed her concerns to Tao Tao, who blushed with embarrassment and apprehension. She understood the implications and felt ashamed of the potential repercussions. Thankfully, Tao Tao had a wise and understanding mother who helped her navigate this delicate situation without causing any undue trouble. Without the guidance and influence of a wise and caring mother like Ms. Fong, Tao Tao might struggle to navigate such delicate situations successfully. This was precisely why affluent families were often hesitant to marry off concubines' daughters. Few legitimate wives could impart the same level of guidance and care to their concubines' daughters as they did to their biological children. As for the concubine's daughter, her upbringing and demeanor were often subject to speculation. While it was possible for a concubine's daughter to possess admirable qualities, the likelihood was slim. Zhao Shu couldn't help but feel frustrated after Ms. Fang's subtle reminder. It seemed like they were inadvertently causing themselves trouble. But then he realized that accommodating his mother-in-law's wishes might ultimately benefit them in the long run. Besides, he could use this opportunity to show his affection for Tao Tao. So, he discreetly asked Tao Tao what she desired. He planned to bring it back for her, along with a heartfelt confession about his reluctance to be apart from her. With their preparations in order, Xiao Sanlang, Zhao Shu, and Tao Tao embarked on their journey to An's, laden with a plethora of local delicacies and specialties. The three of them were young and strong, so they did not need to deliberately slow down on the way. They arrived at Yuzhong Province City that day and stayed for a night. The next morning, they set off from Yuzhong Province City. On the fourth day, at about 4 in the afternoon, they entered An's. As Xiao Sanlang, Yang Xiaoni, and their entourage entered An's province, they couldn't help but marvel at its size, dwarfing their hometown of Heshan County. Despite the sparse population, they couldn't shake off their sense of awe. This was where their fifth brother wielded authority as an official, and every corner seemed to reflect his competence and prowess. They couldn't help but feel a surge of pride in his accomplishments. Meanwhile, back at home, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were immersed in a discussion about hot pot. Qiao Xian instructed Li Xia and Li Qiu to prepare an array of dishes for dinner, taking advantage of the abundance of mushrooms available in the mountains of An's province during the season. With plans to cook a sumptuous hot pot featuring a rich chicken and abalone broth, they also intended to incorporate various types of mushrooms for added flavor. Additionally, they planned to serve thinly sliced mutton, shrimp balls, fish balls, and fresh vegetables to complement the meal. As Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan enjoyed their hot pot feast, the east yard buzzed with activity as Li Xia and the others prepared their own hot pot spread, ensuring a lively atmosphere for all. Chapter 1923, Family Meets. The chicken and abalone soup had been prepared, and various dishes were in the process of being readied. Just then, Zhao Shu, Xiao Sanlang, Yang Xiaoni, and the others arrived. Ever since Zhao Shu got engaged to Tao Tao, he couldn't contain his excitement to announce to the world that he was soon to be the brother-in-law of the lord of the prefect. Additionally, being both generous and handsome, Zhao Shu knew he would be warmly received wherever he went. Upon Zhao Shu's arrival, he was filled with joy. With a radiant smile, he eagerly ushered them in and promptly dispatched someone to inform the lord and lady of the prefect. The message arrived so swiftly that Zhao Shu didn't even have the chance to inform them of Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni's presence. However, Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni paid no heed to the oversight. In fact, they planned to surprise Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan themselves. And indeed, when Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan caught sight of Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni entering with Zhao Shu, they were both taken aback. Fifth brother. Fifth sister-in-law. Fifth brother. Fifth sister-in-law. They ran towards Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan happily. Only then did Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan snap out of their daze. It wasn't a dream, their family was truly here. Third brother. Third sister-in-law. Ah, finally we get to see you both. This is wonderful. Fifth brother has truly become an esteemed official. He's transformed. Just look at him, so commanding. He outshines even the county magistrate of our Heshan County. Haha. And fifth sister-in-law, you're more beautiful than ever. And this must be Anan, isn't she? Such a handsome lad. Come, let me give you a hug. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan reciprocated with smiles. What brings you here? Why didn't you send word ahead? Father, mother, how have you been? How are things back home? Where's Tao Tao? What's she up to these days? How's the village school? Are the children learning well? How's Junyan? How are our businesses faring? Is everything all right at home? Some asked questions, some provided answers, and some remained silent. Laughter and conversation filled the air until gradually quieting down. Seizing the moment, Zhao Shu interjected with a smile. Third brother, third sister-in-law were here now. We'll be staying with fifth brother and sister-in-law for a few days. We'll have plenty of time to catch up. Please, don't worry. You're absolutely right, Qiao Xian replied with a grin. You must be weary from the journey. Freshen up, have a cup of tea to unwind. We didn't anticipate our sudden arrival, so the guest room may not be prepared, but it's usually well kept. You're welcome to stay there. Please make yourselves at home. Yang Xiaoni chuckled. Fifth sister-in-law, you're too kind. We farmers aren't so particular, especially among family. Anywhere here is better than elsewhere. They all shared a hearty laugh. Qiao Xian ordered Li Xia and Li Qiu to take Xiao Sanlang and Zhao Shu to the guest room and said with a smile, "You should have dinner soon." What a coincidence! We are going to eat hot pot tonight, and we have prepared a lot of ingredients. Really? That's great. As expected, we're in luck. I'm fine with other things, but I want your cooking. Me too. Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were both gluttons, but even Zhao Shu was looking forward to it. Chapter 1924. Reunion. Fifth sister-in-law's culinary skills were unparalleled. Of course, Tao Tao's culinary skills were also very good. She would never get tired of it. The three of them did not rest for long. Before Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan asked for them, they arrived. The servants who followed them did not ask them to serve them. Someone led them down to entertain them. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were still talking, which was a pleasant surprise for them. Seeing them, Qiao Xian smiled. "I was about to ask someone to call you, but you are here, which saves us the trip." Yang Xiaoni smiled. "I miss your cooking so much." They all laughed. Soon, the hot pot was ready, accompanied by an array of side dishes. However, a notable change occurred. The dishes were now served on large communal plates, reflecting the growing number of diners gathered around. As more people joined, the atmosphere became increasingly vibrant. Qiao Xian, accustomed to preparing the Mandarin duck pot for every hot pot meal, continued the tradition. Today was no differentiero. Half of the pot was spicy, while the other half was delectable. Seated together, everyone eagerly anticipated the feast. Thin slices of mutton sizzled as they were immersed in the pot, quickly changing color. Prawn balls, small and pristine white, bobbed alongside, while the thinly sliced pork belly, resembling a cicada's wing, unfurled and cooked to perfection. Each bite, dipped in sauce, was a savory delightero. The group conversed and laughed well into the late hours of the night, savoring the informal hot pot gathering. Before retiring to bed, they exchanged stories and laughter, holding each other close. With a wistful smile, Qiao Xian expressed her longing for Shouting Village. She missed her family and her businesses dearly. After all, they were her first endeavors, her initial steps towards successero, a treasure far more precious than vast estates and fertile lands elsewhere. So did Ms. Fang and Tao. Qiao Xian had always held deep gratitude towards Ms. Fang, recognizing her as the epitome of a reasonable mother-in-law. In contrast, the mere thought of Ms. Niu or Ms. Ma evoked a sense of disgust within her. Ms. Fang stood out for her lack of concern over Qiao Xian's dowry or any pressure to secure a concubine for her son. Despite facing ridicule from villagers for purchasing barren lands, including the rocky expanse behind her own property, Ms. Fang remained unfazed. While others, like Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma, mocked her behind her back, Qiao Xian's mother-in-law stood by her side, unwavering in her support. Every detail remained etched in Qiao Xian's memory. In an era where women could assert independence and claim equal status, Ms. Fang embodied resilience and determination, pursuing her interests with unwavering resolve. Despite her strong will and eventual triumphs, Qiao Xian couldn't help but acknowledge the toll such battles took, leaving one exhausted and overwhelmed. Without her family's support, navigating the complexities of divorce would have been daunting. Even if achieved, establishing oneself as a woman in this era presented formidable challenges. Thankfully, such trials never materialized. Despite occasional annoyance from father-in-law, Qiao Xian found solace in her mother-in-law's calming presence, choosing to overlook any minor grievances. Overall, she counted herself fortunate. Wrapped in her husband's embrace, Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but reminisce. Since departing for his post in the capital, 3 years had passed without a return home. Although now in proximity, his obligations as an imperial court official tethered him to his duties, allowing little leeway for personal matters.